And that's what brings us here today. We went to arbitration, we lost. We don't have much success in courts. New York State is forever going to try and hold our feet to the fire, try and make us the ugly stepchild in which they see us. We're not a partner to them. We're not much more than a check to go to the mailbox and cash every quarter. But we are the Seneca Nation. We are going to find what is best coming out of this. We are going to continue into Class 3 gaming. And we are going to create a better compact. In the last, we'll just round it up to 20 years, we've learned a lot about gaming. The world's changed. And our compact has not allowed us to change with it. So going back to what today is for. December 14th, you guys know the name, Scretny. He's our favorite judge, he loves us. Bullshit. Guy ruled against us again. We've lost in court 5 different times, he's seen a couple different cases. He's put some strongly worded narratives or disclaimers out post-judgment. And he believed that our arguments did not warrant vacating any of the previous court's decisions. So that brought us to continue litigating, getting in front of a judge, reading arguments, waiting for decisions, waiting for briefings, spending another 12 to 15 months on the slim chance that a court would overturn his rulings, or make the revenue share payments, get in front of the governor, her team, and try and start making a compact in which we can all agree. We all know these compacts take time. We were rushed into the last one. This next one, we believe the timing is now. We have a governor which is from Western New York, which is unheard of. It was the late 1800s that we had a Western New York governor in New York State. We have a Interior Department with the federal government that is very pro-Native nations. And we've spoken to them. The Department of Interior has come out and said, yes, we are going to help you. We are looking at compacts completely different now because of the issues you guys have brought up, the issues you've raised. 20 years ago, we didn't know much about gaming, and 20 years later, now we need all the help we can get to get a compact in which we all happy with. The time to get to that is having these kind of communications, making sure we're all on the same page moving forward. Because then you got to get approvals from the state, on top of that with the federal government and the Department of Interior, especially. So on December 14th, he gave us 30 days to figure out what to do. We looked at different options, getting the NIGC, the National Indian Gaming Commission, to come in and put their hands in and see if there was a way for them to issue some sort of substantive action in which may raise concerns or make Scrutiny look back, or maybe even stop them from, or the state from issuing payment, or stop the banks. Was that ever a possibility? So any of us in gaming, or have worked in gaming, the option was presented that there's a slim chance that if they issued an NOV, maybe then, an NOV is a notice of violation. What does that mean? We couldn't even guess. Some of the team here, we'll get to introducing shortly, as soon as the decision came down, I went over and was working behind the scenes trying to figure out what that would be, how that would work. But we had concerns with an NOV because what are the unintended consequences of of an NOP, because those in gaming know that Class 3 is looking at a refinance. And banks look at credit history and going concern or the longevity of what it's going to be moving forward. And with those kind of questions, we didn't know how that would work. And then if we did comply with it, there's, of course, closure orders. There was these Seminoles, finding unfortunately, they didn't agree that the NOP was warranted, and then AGRA said that their compact was completely void. So they're in those unintended consequences we had to live. I think the biggest part comes down to timing. It was January the 12th, I recorded, they introduced this concept with the support, with counsel behind me, informing you of this decision. It's not a win, it's nothing to be excited about. This fight started some 4 years ago, before a handful of us were even on this side of the table.
Well, we need leaders who are going to fight for us.
Thank you. Let me finish, please, Sharon. Thank you. I appreciate it. We'll get to that. You're a sweetheart too, Sharon. Thank you.
All you guys up there are bullshit.
Selling us out.
I understand.
No, you don't understand.
Trust me, I do. Trust me, I do.
You think you can make a decision for all of our nation, and you can't do that. You need to communicate with us when you're going to sell us out.
So we'll get into what was, let's get past the history, let's get past the education, because I'm sure you guys want to ask questions and let us know where you stand on this, because that's the most important part of this. So what is it that we agreed to? The money that would come to the nation would be about $24 million from disputed regulatory fees, a savings of probably about $10 million more to close this compact, and the state would not seek the interest in which they were entitled to by some of the rulings. That was about $9 million, and then beyond the end of March, that would go at $11,000 a day tick. That they would come straight out of general fund. We would have to create appropriations. This was not fun. We would have to find within the government to continue the litigation. It also allows the state to access those revenue share payments that are locked in escrow, and they've been that way for more than 2 years. Once the arbitration award was issued in 2019, the nation decided to go to federal court and try and get it overturned. The nation was required to place the money in a locked escrow account pursuant to that federal court order. If the nation had not done so in 2019, the state would have seized the money as it was entitled under federal and state law. Also, it requires the state to begin negotiating the new compact within 60 days. And getting that started is critical because our compact expires in December the 9th, actually, of 2023. And the gubernatorial election, which is going to influence this, when she is probably most willing to work with us, is in November of 22. We know how an elected governor works with us. They don't. So, the details for compact negotiations, of course we've done all the legwork. We have a perfect compact in which we know New York State is not even going to entertain. But that's where we're going to start. We're going to give them what we've approved, what we've mapped out, what FGC has geeked out for revenue share, getting rid of the Seneca Settlement Act language in there, creating more value for what is the 25% in which we agreed to some 20-ish years ago. Again, I said earlier, the world has changed since 2002. We've gained so much experience in gaming. The state is now our competitor, as well as our regulator. 25% was not uncommon in 2002, but now is widely viewed as outrageous. The federal government, the NIGC and Interior, which I spoke of earlier, has made it clear they are our allies moving forward. The role of NIGC and the Interior and this litigation, arbitration, they had their hands tied. But moving forward, they're willing to work with us and have vocally, in writing, shown their support to get us to where we need to be in gaming in Class 3. So with that, I do have some people that you guys may not know. Down on the far left, Michelle Mitchell, our General Counsel. Beside her, David Private. Yeah, we all love her too. Beside her is David Private from him and Straub. He's a state lobbyist. He's the one that he's right in the ground. He's in the Albany Daily, trying to see what the governor's doing. He was the one that was giving us the updates as Cuomo was getting ousted, as we watched that turn. Beside him, John Horn, Harder Secrets and Emory, used in litigation and during the arbitration. Our skilled professional in those. A little to my right here is, I'm sorry, Allison, to the right is Allison Binney. She's our federal guru. She's the one that, she helps us when we need DC. She's in with Cuomo, she's in with the Department of Interior, in with the NIGC, on the daily, trying to help us find a way to get through this. I know, you guys are just going to boo and we're all not happy. I understand. But to be an argument or an argument between us, it's more of a question and answer. And these are the people that can help us understand the procedures, the authorities within arms of government in which I know less about. The state's government, their legislative review process, the Senate, House of Representatives, Ways and Means Commissions, I'll let it a little more important than our budget and finance and our council session. Down there every day. Yeah, I wish I had the money to be down there every day. I wish there was an opportunity to have us down there every day. So, unfortunately, that isn't the way we run our nation, and it's never been. Yeah, it's a beautiful building. It's an amazing place. It's an amazing nation that we've built. And we're proud of it. And that's why we're here now. So I think I've got the introductions in, except for my gentleman to my right here, which is Lee Red-Eye of Libis Matthias. Seneca with us, and proud to be here.
Okay, are you shutting the mic up? Thank you for turning it back on, whoever did that. Matt, last night we spent hours discussing it. Nothing really was changed. There was no commitment by the council when I requested action. You're acting illegally. You don't have the authority, the signature authority, to sign on $540 million without council approval. You did not convene as a council. What you're acting as is illegally. You act against the will of our people, the Seneca people who entrusted you and gave you the authority to take care of legal matters for the Seneca nation. But that doesn't mean that you do it without the Seneca people. We have the right to speak in council. You didn't bring it up. You went on an email. Thanks to today's new technology. You disregarded the voice of the Seneca people.
And your Constitution.
And you're still doing it. You think placating us tonight is going to fix what your action has done? You first time that I had to agree with Ross Johnson. Because he was right. He spoke the truth. The rest of you didn't. The rest of you think you can act without us, the Seneca people. What you're doing is folding. You're bellying up. You're scared. You're acting out of fear. You think, and I heard it from you, Bill Costello, heard it out of his night. He spoke out of his mouth, conflicting, saying that, oh, we can't act without, on the casino issue. At the end of the night, he said, we can act. We can fight. Somebody's fear-mongering here with you guys about the lack of action or inaction and the steps and the strategy that we need to employ as Seneca people to protect our interests. And our interest is the compact renegotiation. And your strategizing is poor because you've given up leverage for us to negotiate a compact that is good for the nation and good for the Seneca people. It's deplorable to me on you acting on such an issue that is of this magnitude. $540 million has never been given to the president to sign off and giving it the authority without a legal counsel session. He has no authority, Matt. You should be impeached. Yeah. And I know these guys. And not only that, the rest of you need to be impeached because you took an oath of office to protect this nation. You swore in an oath to protect this nation, and you haven't. You have all bellied up, and you folded, and you put this nation in jeopardy. And you're taking a strategy that's going to fail. And you see it, and you read it, on how those white people are gloating in the Buffalo Evening. How they're already spending the money that you haven't given them until Saturday. Or actually, it's Friday, isn't it? Your 10 days is up on Friday.
That's tomorrow. Confirmed.
At midnight.
At midnight.
So,
I would like you to ask. I want you to call a council session right now. And I want you to rescind as councilors that signature that the president made illegally. He doesn't have signature authority. Only as the CEO of the Seneca Nation of Indians, he can spend up to $49,999.99 without you. He can't spend $540 million without you because you sent him an email. Yes. All you fucking puppets. Yes. That's what you did. You gave away our leverage. You gave away the opportunity for us to bring the state to their knees. Now it's the other way around. Because you're complacent. You don't think you have to answer to the people? The Seneca people aren't here. Arlene, you said last night, oh, there's thousands of people that you represent. And I asked you, who is there? Where's that one person that represents you and says what you did was right?
I did not say thousand. I can read out some text of people that support. No, I'm talking about
Where are
voters.
they?
Where's the voters? They spoke.
Hey, in this room.
But where's, we won the last election. The next opportunity to change. Is the next one.
It's all gonna change. It's all
so
done.
can I answer some of your stuff?
It's all done.
I would love to. Alright, we're going to have 87 different conversations, but we can't.
No, there's one conversation.
So the right to do it was where you started. is defined by the compact which we agreed to in 2002. It's
How old were
clearly
you
written
then?
in that
How
compact
old
that
were
state
you then?
exclusivity payments were to be made. When we stopped paying them, we should have taken that to every one of us here. And that didn't happen either. Martin, that administration made the decision to stop because there was an ambiguity. We had ambiguity, so we went to litigation. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just giving the facts of in 2016 we made that decision to stop paying. That should have been a decision of more than just this body. It wasn't.
Chronicle counsel and the people.
I'm saying that in the end, it is written in the compact those payments were to be made. When council said, go ahead and make the settlement and see if they would agree to, the $50 million that we're about to keep, they said to go ahead and sign it, so I signed the agreement, the settlement to send out. She signed it later that day at 8 p.m. Then you went into then you hold on.
No, you hold on.
How do you always get to talk and I don't get to answer? The second part was leverage. The second part is leverage. You said that there's leverage. The $550 million to the $22 billion budget, which New York operates on top of the free federal money in which they've gotten this year, that's less than 0.25%. There is no leverage. There was no leverage with that money.
Okay, Matt, you're talking about talking to a person. The governor of New York State, Kathy Hochul, her husband oversees the gaming facilities for Delaware North.
He's a general counsel of Delaware.
Yes.
That is leverage.
That's a conflict of interest right there, in itself.
I don't.
Kathy, oh, you don't think so?
I don't know that. I did not say I don't think so. I agree, but New York State has not decided any of that.
You have people here bellying up with New York State's attorney. What's his name? In the back? Rob Williams. Michelle Mitchell. What are they talking about when they're drunk? About our $530 million? And you guys are listening to that legal counsel over there?
Can I say something?
Sure.
So, as you all know, I'm a member of this nation. Went to school oh, I'm sorry. My name is Lee Red-Eye. My father is Coach East Red-Eye. My mother is Patsy Parker. And I'm the nation invited me here tonight to talk about the litigation that was ongoing. And some of my colleagues sitting at the other end of the table are here to explain some of the stuff that went on so that people can at least discuss this from a point of understanding. While we may not agree with the decision, that's your personal prerogative. Not everybody's going to agree about it. But we should all be operating with the same level of understanding. And that's what we're here to do.
And rightfully so. There should have been, there should have been a council session.
I understand that. I understand
By
your
this
position.
administration, by the president of the Senate Nation, and the council, so that we could discuss this matter, so that we could understand why you decided what you did. Instead, you didn't do it.
Well, I'm not a counsel.
Matt, listen, I'm not trying to, I'm not with the president.
Yeah, I spoke with the people at their opinion on the special counsel. They said it wasn't needed. So if I were to call special counsel and no counselor showed up, what's the use? I don't have a quorum.
Then you can appoint.
So you think you have the authority to act without their consent?
The consent I have from them, yes. Decided
There's a
to
quorum
consent.
up there right now.
Number one, let me tell you this. There's a reason that council is convened, legally, according to the Constitution of the Senate Nation. Part of it is that it creates a record of your actions, so that you're accountable to the people. You have not done that, not even to this minute. You're telling us a story. Next year, who's going to remember who said what or sponsored what motion? Who agreed to $540 million being paid to New York State? It's not on record. It's not on public record. And you guys all are disregarding the Seneca people and our opinion. And we do disagree often. But our administration, no matter who the public officials have been in the past, even your glorious Barry Snyder didn't dare do this. And at least he called it, and made it a matter of record and action because he knew better. He knew better than you had. I'm asking for action for items tonight. I'm not interested in listening to your stories. I had enough of that last night. You need to act to stop this action until we can agree and be informed as the general public. You want to lead us? Lead. Pony up. Make your actions accountable on record. And there's no reason you can't call the council tonight and act. Let us witness your yes vote. Let us see you nod your heads if that's what you want to do. And if you think that's the right action, it'll be a matter of record. And you will be held accountable whether you do it or whether you don't. Thank you.
Why are they here? You guys should know what they know. Do not vote Seneca. On that flag said, control Seneca. House control. Do not vote 60 out. We want to know what you guys say. We don't care what they have to say. Because we know who they're working for. Working for Grand Hole. And the U.S. government. We all know. They're against us in the beginning. They swore to upgrade. That is your great Constitution. You get their license. Who do they got to enforce it? New York State. They should be in there. It's be power. It's not that different. Get them out. Out! Get out of it right now. Everything about it. All four of you guys. Yeah. Now. Go!
Yep, go.
Go!
No, this body invited them here.
Well, uninvited.
This body
Tell
wants
me
to do
now.
whatever the hell it wants to do anytime.
Tell them to get out.
Every time they believe.
Tell them to get out. They need to leave. They need to leave. Now.
They're against us.
He wanted, so that's an idea. You want to listen to what we had on the agenda and try and go that route? That's not what we did last time.
No, this is a better show. You did a nicer
We don't want
show
to
today.
hear.
Might be some people here that might want to hear what they have to say.
Well, who is it? Bring
We
her.
didn't talk
Let's
last night.
let me know what they have to say.
There are some people here that may want to hear.
Raise your hand. Yeah. Raise your hand.
Well, think about their time.
Just raise
We
your
want
hand.
to hear them last night. Why would we hear them tonight?
We want them yet.
You guys need to answer.
Oh, yeah, well, no, no.
Okay, so there are people that want to hear
We want
this.
to listen to what you guys have to explain to us. Not really.
They tell you what to do, so.
Look, I don't know everything.
What are you doing?
I'm one man, and I was involved in the litigation in the Western District of New York.
Yeah.
I didn't engage in any lobbying, state or federal. I wasn't involved in the arbitration. I think it's important for our people.
They need to be out.
Okay.
If that's,
They're only employees like you guys are.
I
You
think
guys
it's
are
important
employees of the nation.
for everybody to be on the same page. And if
You
you
guys
want to
are-
be mad after
You
that,
guys
that's
are paid
fine.
by our money. Not your money.
And that's why they are here, and that's why I'm here. Is that so that we're all working with the same information? That's important.
You want to know what you guys know.
I do, and I'm vouching. And I'm saying that what they have to say is important. So,
I don't want anybody
and
to
that everybody should hear. And then, I can't direct anybody to do anything, but I think what they will say may answer a lot of questions. It may raise some questions.
Right. You guys need to get out.
They don't even have mics. They can't
The
have
council
they
isn't,
don't have mics.
but even I could not answer every question that would be thrown at me if I were up here by myself. And so it's exceedingly difficult to know everything.
No, you guys have to take care of me. $3,000 an hour. Just a second. And let's go to the picture. So you pay him $3,000 an hour.
I don't know.
I know you don't. Man. Get him out of here.
I actually think Shelley got up next, so go ahead, Shelley.
I agree. This is a community meeting and I understand Holly's feelings. We got into this situation because legal. You guys are all legal and that's who one of you are Seneca, so respect that opinion. We are the women of this nation and we determine who sits in our community meetings, not them. This is not a council meeting, so I do understand that, but I do have some questions for you. You're legal, so I'd like to read a definition to the people. Negligence is harm caused by failing to act or behave with a level of care that someone with ordinary prudence would have exercised under the same circumstances. Had we had a real leader, we wouldn't have gave up this fight because those guys told them, give it up. Had we had a leader, we wouldn't be putting dollars in front of our Seneca, because that's what we just did. We sold out for money. We didn't ask our women, you didn't ask the people, and you didn't convene. What you did was illegal. Read your Constitution. Do you know what our Constitution reads, guys? You may want to interpret for them. Because Section 2 does read that you have to convene. An appropriation of money did happen, and you did not vote on it. Therefore, rescind that signature tonight, and we will all go home happy. And we can discuss and continue to communicate where we go from here, because your strategy failed. You said it in your first words to us, Matt. I'm sorry. Sorry ain't enough. It's not gonna cut it. And we don't appreciate you selling us out. I don't care what your legal jargon is. You didn't come to us. We may have been happy with a 50-50. Who knows? We didn't have that discussion. Our Constitution allows for 10 of you to convene and impeach that guy. I don't know if any of you got any balls to do it, but we got some testicles out here, and we're waiting because we know where y'all live. And as for your votes, whatever, this isn't political. This is our people. This isn't the Seneca Party. This isn't anything about politics. This is who we are, Seneca Nation. Shame on you all. I'm disgusted with all of you. If I had my way, I'd have him impeached because you don't have the experience, the knowledge, or skills. And I'm ashamed of some of you older ones. You young ones, I'll give you a pass. You ain't been in it long enough. And you look at us when we're talking to you. That's respect. Give it back if you want respect.
To Shelley's point on an appropriation, this is not an appropriation. This money is funded from SBC as it was written in the compact. So it does not need council approval. We have this happen every day in government, in operations, in business. I don't disagree with either of you, And I told council that exact same thing.
What year you went and signed it?
Well, if you're gonna get into the details, I can't call a council session without 24-hour notice, so that's.
You make a resolution, take it.
How do you constitute it? Go ahead, Brenda.
I have two items. My first concern is last night and today, I heard a comment saying that the interior and NIGA, IGRO, the ag will help us. Ray can help us for a new compact. I think basically what we've done, when they offered to step into place to do an investigation of the legalities of 25% payment to the state, we didn't allow them the time to do the investigation. They stepped up to the plate for us. And that's a big deal. And they didn't want us to move on without them reviewing what those 7 last years would look like, the payment. And they put that in their letter too. And the reason they didn't want it done was because of the precedents it would set throughout Indian country. Or maybe other tribes doing this type of thing without their approval. And we didn't acknowledge what their process is. We didn't let them finish the process. We didn't respect their request not to do this because they didn't have a review. They didn't approve of the payment for 7 years. So what Seneca Nation has done by not allowing them the time to review, the time to investigate, the time to approve, we have set that dangerous precedent throughout Indian country. We've done that, and all the other tribes, when this happens, you're going to see that it was Seneca Nation that walked away from the table with them. And we didn't allow them to complete their work. And now to say that they're going to come and help us with our compact, we can rely on them, when we essentially just kick dirt in their face by walking away, is not, to me, it just doesn't make any sense. Because that's what they put in the letter to you. That's their statements. So I really wonder how much you're going to want to help us the next time we go to them, when we ignore their request. And those are big agencies. They have a lot to do with our compact. A lot. They're going to be the approval or not. They can make it stall for as long as they want because of what happened. It's a big concern of mine. I'm sure it's a concern to everybody, and you say they're going to be here to help us get the best perfect compact. I doubt it. I really do. And excuse me, to my second point, we brought up 2016 when the payment was stopped. And I don't really think you could say anything about that since you weren't there. But there is somebody who was there, and it's former President Gates. And I talked to him a little earlier to ask him to explain why he stopped the payment.
You know, it was a false statement because in 2016 at our State of the Nation address, I told the Seneca Nation that we were going to stop the payments because of breaches of the exclusivity and all kinds of other matters that we've never had exclusivity. Never. And, you know, these payments, they are illegal. And that's a thing that I think NIGC will come up with. You know, we can't be afraid. We can't be afraid of the compact running out. We can't be afraid of what the fair. It shouldn't be called a settlement of the payout. But, you know, like I said, I announced to the Seneca Nation, and this is before we cut out payments, that was our plan. I even mentioned it to Como himself, and you didn't pay attention. But I think everyone's paying attention now. You know, and, well, you can't lead by being afraid of the unknown. Let's get on it. Let the compact run out. Show Indian country how a negotiation starts and ends. That's what we have to do. Secretarial procedure will take over. We don't need New York State. They don't even have to be at the table for the compact negotiation. It'll get sent to them, and they'll be forced to sign a fair and legal compact. And exclusivity that's going to go out the door. Because we've never had it in the first place. Even now, sports gambling, they're gambling right in our exclusivity zone. What's going on? It's going to be more. When NFGC was here, Jeannie Hoagland, I asked her a bunch of questions about that, and it's self-regulatory stuff, IGRA, changes in IGRA to accommodate all the new changes. It's not the same as 2000 or 1988. That's how old IGRA is. Read it. Understand what's going on here. We took the Pequot deal. That's it. Wasn't fair to us. I didn't agree with that deal when it first came out. If you know me, I was against that. The original compact. Because it didn't take into consideration our truly sovereign status as Seneca. That's about all I gotta say. Now you guys can pull that money back.
Todd? I've been interested in asking, when the payments were stopped, I think you just answered my question, but I want to clarify. I want you to clarify for me. You announced it at a State of the Nation address.
Yes.
You did not convene a council.
No, we had to convene the council also, after I announced it. Yep. I did not want this to break to the public, outside of our nation's boundaries, that this is what our plan was. I wanted to tell our people first.
Here's the core of my question. There was a valid referendum done on May 14, 2002 to even get into gaming. How did your general counsel set aside the people's voice and say, we're going to stop the payment when the people told you to engage in the compact? Because I don't want to jeopardize, for me, now this is just me, I'm one of 16 councilors. I'm not going to jeopardize the rest of the people's benefits based on somebody's whim because he thought we could stop paying. He didn't even follow procedure. It's all in the paper. He did not follow the procedure.
You guys already stopped the people's benefits and you took the $200 a piece away.
So how do you do that? When people spoke in 2002 and said, do the game.
When we publicly announced we were stopping payment, that made New York State act. Take it to arbitration.
That strategy did not win at any level, at any stage. Did we win anything based on the argument Martin Seneca brought? That's why I base my opinion on keep the payments going. The people voted in 2002. Why does it need another referendum?
For your
Does anybody remember when I went into council and I asked you, does anybody remember?
Hold on, we got too much screaming, there's no real communication. Let's, yeah, I know, and there's no way to keep anybody in a conversation because everybody's trying to talk to everybody all at the same time.
That's your fault!
It's impossible.
That's your fault! You need to take the blame for that! You did the same thing on your back!
I just want to let him in before we go to Sue.
All I'm saying is, I hated the 25% just like everybody. I fought like crazy. I went into council with a appeals court order stopping the payment. And where was everybody else then saying, oh, it's too much then? Nobody was there. Nobody was there, and the nation said we had an obligation to pay, and the payment already went in. That's what you said. That's what happened.
Mr. President?
Alright, so,
Thank you.
yeah.
I want to, sometimes it's difficult to do a train of thought when you have so many other opinions that happen in between the conversation. But I want to refer back to your initial statement about 24-hour notice being given to the council. That is not true. It's not true in our Constitution, Section 1. 10 of said councilors, when assembled in session regularly organized, shall constitute a quorum for the transaction of business. There is no 24-hour notice required.
It's a special session, Council.
I
That's
think it's pretty special tonight.
Well,
Do you agree?
this is not regular by any means.
No, but
Well, you're reading
you
regular.
have the authority as the president to call a session whenever you want to.
I can call a session.
Yes, and you should, tonight, you should, to help resolve this issue, to help actually commit to keeping peace among your people. Because what you did is a dastardly deed, bottom line. And it says further, the second paragraph, everybody needs to listen because this is what governs us. This is what gives us the opportunity to even speak to you. It says, in all appropriations of public money, an affirmative vote of at least 10 of the whole number elected shall be necessary. It shall not be lawful for the council to make appropriations of public money in any one year exceeding the sum of the aggregate revenue of that year. But the council shall make appropriations of public money to carry on the government in extraordinary cases for the welfare of the nation. This is an extraordinary case. This is a historical position that we're taking. And you guys belly it up because we're trying to protect the nation. We're trying to protect not only the Seneca Nation, but Indian country. What we do and how we proceed and what we're being looked at from federal agencies who are willing to come to our aid, willing to help us. We have 2 letters from the NIGC and the NCAI supporting us that as the Department of the Interior. And so they're supporting us because they view what was happening to us as being illegal and not authorized under the agreements that we did make. That's why we are asking you to fight. Don't belly up. Stand up for us, not against us. Stand up for the people of Indian people of this whole nation. Because turning now, the tables on those departments of the interior are going to forever negatively impact Indian country. And not only us. Use the opportunity as leverage. Use the money that they're already spending on TV and in the Buffalo Evening News. Use the money so that it helps substantiate, uphold, and protect the people of this nation. You had poor legal advice. I keep telling you that. You don't understand. I sat on council several times. I told in council, legal counsel, to shut their mouth. They're not entitled to an opinion. They're not entitled to get involved in the political aspects of the nation and to cut it. And they did. Why? Because I had the balls to do it. And I had the reason to work with my constituents and their council so that we made the decision. The Seneca people made the decision, not the attorneys. And we're here today because that's all you listen to, is those attorneys. They don't have a vested interest. Michelle Mitchell worked on the compact in Indian country up in Mohawk Nation, and she had them sign a perpetual agreement with New York State. Is that what you call ideal for compact? What is going on here? Ma'am, I am asking you again, convene a session now and make your voice count. Let the people hear what you think. Let us know how you're going to vote. Go on record, because your apology earlier is what's causing all of these people to be here, because you have acted against the will of the Seneca people. And our minds, our thoughts, and our deeds are being compromised by your lack of consideration and giving us a voice through you. Thank you.
No more virtual council sessions.
Right here.
Fire the Mohawk!
One comment you made triggers a good question for me. I've been constantly told that that money isn't even ours. It's in a separate account. And what I'm wondering is, if we got bad legal advice in the beginning, that it's affecting us right now. I want to know.
I agree.
If legal advice, in 2016 when this all took place, did the lawyers make sure that we put the money where we could get our hands on it and stop payment if we wanted to?
According to what I was told at last night's meeting, that the agreements and the decisions and the terms and conditions of the holding of that money was already predetermined in the compact. That's my understanding. I can only speak to Todd because Todd was president at the time. And he can answer that question better than I. Todd, could you answer that, please?
We went through the first filing arbitration with their office. We put it in a restricted escrow account. It's not in that same account. It's a little looser tied to it, but it's it's still a restricted account. But my whole thought when that whole thing was going on, that we would negotiate also. But I want to negotiate a 19-10% split, that's for sure. Or 50-50. Something they can call us something.
So Todd's saying that it's not accessible. It is in a more restricted account after, I think it was the 2019 ruling that clamped it right now. So that we could continue to litigate forever.
The only one I don't see of our councils elected is Junie. Everybody else is present, correct?
Incorrect.
Who else is not here?
Billy's wife was sick in the hospital. Ellie had an emergency, he had to go home and
Tim and Tim? Okay. Anyway, I think that it would be appropriate, since there was no communication, that you communicate with us today. And I'd like to hear from every single counselor, start with you, Lona, as to why this was such a great deal.
I would say it's a great deal, but it was the only deal I think that we had, the only option. Because we were backed into a corner. We fought so long, and we kept appealing, so we ran out of appeals. So now it's time. The fight isn't over, but this part of that battle is over. You want to do, are you with me? No. Okay, because we were appealing and appealing and appealing, and we lost and we lost 4 times. Right? Okay.
Did you go to the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court?
We didn't go.
Well, then you didn't finish it then.
We didn't get that far.
There you go, you gave up. You don't give up when you start something.
Are you a lawyer?
No.
Then you shouldn't have done it.
What, appeal?
You shouldn't have done it.
I went on my advice of my advisors. And I talked to them, and we went back and forth a lot of times. Talking about this, and what can happen, Because that money is in a blocked account. Nobody can touch it until the judge releases it. And once he says it's gone, it's gone. So then from there we said, well, let's try and cut a deal. Let's try to get a deal with Cattaraugus. before our time runs out, which is Saturday. I can't help she has a conflict of interest. That's on her shoulders, not on mine. To who? Well, anyway.
I want to know from each and every one of you why you thought it was okay. History enough to say it was okay. I want to know why.
And I'm trying to explain to you why I voted to settle.
Can you technically say you noticed that no one ever convened and you just sent an email?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Because the rest of us are wondering why you guys even did this, because you didn't vote on it. Matt's the one who gave permission for this. Where the hell were you guys?
You were all there.
What the hell? We're all sitting here asking you that. You keep saying we were there. Oh yeah, what, on your computer?
Yes.
On that Wi-Fi that you guys are so excited for? What about the rest of us? Where was our voices? I'm the next generation. You guys better fucking look at me. I appreciate it. It made me a much better person. Better than some of y'all.
Who's that?
Okay, my concern is that you guys just gave up. I don't know why. But my understanding of the treaty that they signed 5 days ago was that Uncle Sam was supposed to be an intermediary. And if we were involved in any shenanigans, they were supposed to be the oversight. So when the arbitration go forward, if it's not, you should have known dealing with a hundred. Even they know that binding arbitration is something that they're not doing. It's the worst process that they can put you through. But you did it anyway. And now you know. But Uncle Sam, you should be powering on the Department of the Interior door. Native Haven, you guys should all be united. Instead of fighting one fight at a time, you'll all be fighting. You should be meeting together. There should be one giant conference of indigenous nations, not separated. What's the matter with you people? I thought you were all educated, but you're stupid. I am, because I went to one. But anyhow, it's my feeling that don't do that. Don't go ahead with this. Because, yeah, Supreme Court, exactly. Uncle Sam is liable and responsible for the treaty that they signed. They broke it into fight him again till the end. The world knows. Donald Trump's been there, so he's heard all the lies before. But be honest, otherwise you lose what kind of people we are. If you do that, I don't know what's going to help you because I don't think the generation before, I mean, the welcome you when you get to the next place. Remember that. Never forget that you don't, yeah, you got to answer to us. There's a greater authority than us. You answer to them too. Don't you forget it. Go down to the bridge and spend some time with you. Maker. All right.
Thank you for Shelley, the question to ask everybody what their opinions are. And you said you were advised by your advisors. If you can let us know who the advisors are. And then also you mentioned that this was the only option. So can you tell us who the advisors are? Why? Who are the advisors? Michelle and Allison. Okay. Oh.
They kept on making.
And they gave you the one option, they said this is what we have to do?
No.
Okay, because that's what, it was not that they,
For the nation.
what was the second option? What was the second option? I didn't hear it, you don't have a microphone. So there was one option, and we're asking the councilors.
Tina wanted to jump in if she could.
I just wanted to say that when we approved the compact by 101 votes, we agreed to arbitration. Right? And we had an issue in 2011 with the mountain issue. And we didn't quite go to arbitration, we were headed that way, but it was stopped for a settlement before it went to arbitration. And at that time, the money was set aside, and President Snyder settled for $209 million in June of 2013. And Nikki mentioned the resolution. I think Don was there, John council, Todd was great. And I looked up that resolution. It was June 20th, 2013. The last resolve says that the president and treasurer are authorized and directed to take any and all necessary and appropriate steps to ensure the parties' fulfillment of their respective obligations as set forth in the MOU. That's what President Snyder negotiated the MOU with New York State at that time, including coordination with the Seneca Gaming Corporation of the release of the appropriate amount of the funds from the company's escrow account, that's where the money was, for outstanding regulatory assessments. Yes, yes. I found this a couple days ago, and I did bring it up. I can talk to my colleagues right now that I did bring it up, right? I brought it up. And in my thinking, in my mind, and been on council for a while, and President Snyder had the decency to get council approval back then. In a statement, he said no legislative approval is needed for Thursday's agreement, which I just mentioned, but the Seneca Nation's council must okay it. Snyder said he saw no problems with that happening, though some Senecas have expressed feelings in the past that the tribe should stick with an ongoing binding arbitration process that began last year as a way to get a better deal. And my point is that at least it did come to council. Right. Yes. I agree. And Matt started this meeting out with an apology. It doesn't. I agree. I agree. And this is backwards. We should have gone to the people first. We did a terrible job.
We can fix it.
And I'm done. At the same time, we agreed to arbitration. So that money is over here, right? It's aside. In a few days, they're probably going to do a ruling, Judge Stretney, and it's just going to take it.
Yeah, but we wouldn't be giving up.
You're not giving up. We lost. We
are giving up.
You didn't go all the way through all the courts.
We lost the arbitration panel. We lost the U.S. District Court. We lost the Second Circuit. We lost the Second Circuit, and then we lost the U.S. District Court on December 14th. And the compact says we agreed to arbitration. Win or lose. Win or lose.
Can I ask you though, in previous council, have the people been in agreement to this? No. We have all said, we don't want you to pay.
Did we lose in the U.S. Supreme Court?
Once again, you guys went ahead
Nobody says anything. Oh, we sent a letter, and we did this, and that's it. You're right, we should have. We don't hear anything else.
I want to hear from Tim.
I have a question of clarification. My understanding is Monday through Friday during your work days, you're legislative specialist. And your tribal council would counsel the people. So you got responses from legislative specialists, not council.
I'd like to go back to Woody's question, and then she talked about what the legal options were. There were a couple options that were presented to council. There were, we could have filed to reconsider in front of Judge Stratton, and who had previously just denied our motion. And that was based upon the documentation from NIGC and Interior. In his decision, those documents did not move him to act. And there's a substantial burden to be able to overturn those types of decisions. The other option in that scenario was to appeal the Second Circuit, who had already previously ruled on the issue and denied us. So without any new evidence, those were viable options.
I think if you appealed, you bought time, and you allowed the federal government through the Department of Interior to explore and investigate what's wrong with the compact. And that's why I'm upset about this, because you said, I'm tired of appealing. And then we keep working with the same lawyers that you say, last night, Bob, you said, the same thing over and over is insanity. Using the same lawyers to do the same thing is insanity.
Fire the Mohawk! Keep appealing, but keep losing. That's what my comment was in
I
reference to.
wonder why we're losing.
My question is,
Fire the Mohawk!
you know, at some point, President Eagles has decided that you have carte blanche to do whatever you want, but how did you get all of the other 16 ladies to agree to that? I mean, what was the carrot?
It was only 14.
All 14. I mean, to pressure them into doing something like this, because the minute that you saw this on the news, you know, when something just doesn't feel right, you didn't get that feeling out. That we've been fighting this for so long, what made you think that this was just going to be okay? Do what you wanted to do and forget our voice.
I'll have to let council answer that because I do not influence any of their decisions. They have their own minds, they make. I don't dangle nothing in front of nobody.
You signed it.
I did agree to sign it.
This is a real simple thing, you should be ashamed.
Did you not hear me start this? I am very ashamed of how this timed out. But beyond that, the decision that they made with the parameters, the budget, that you spoke about, that's all taken care of financially. That was all done. It is budgeted. It is.
A real leader would have never signed it.
You know, there was no appropriation. We can't use the money. It was locked in to cases. To his definition, that is not our money. And we won it, it was our money. Appropriation, the additional fight with the 3-panel arbitration set the precedent, and flip that script is nearly impossible. And we found out 4 different times how impossible it was. We went with our lawyers, we went a different route, we went with a different set of lawyers, we went to Ken J. Katzen, we went to Rob Porter, we let him try. None of those were successful.
I
didn't like how you pushed the lady out of the way, sir. Something like that. I would have thrown the
Last year, you got my back, right? Okay. Last year, when we were in the same moment, we heard from Michelle, it's over. And I heard it from you, Mr. President, and I heard it from many of the counselors, and worst of all, I saw it in your eyes. Afraid and defeated. And I've never seen that before. In all my years, every side of the line here in our government, I've never seen our leaders look so beaten down. And I don't know. Who loves this? No one. But there are times when you can't live with yourself when you don't do something. And last year, I gave you the plan. A plan. A plan that I thought, based on all my years of fighting for this nation, I thought could work. And the stuff that I do every day with the federal government, I thought it could work. And it took a little bit of work. And I thank John, and I thank Scott Snyder for helping me get in the room with you guys. And I had to, agree for $1 and then not get paid, and then get paid, and all that BS. But the end of the day was within 5 days, I got a meeting arranged with the head of the Interior Department who's in charge of these issues. And you took that meeting and you did a good job for us. And that led to, a couple weeks later, the letter that everyone has here from Paula Hart that revived the letter from 2017 that I think President Gates' administration secured. That said, the Senecas, that said we have never reviewed this extension period and evaluated its impact. And the Senecas received 21 years of exclusivity for 14 years of payment. Which, by the way, the state got $600 million more than was projected by Interior in 2002. They've way beyond ripped us off, just on what we know. And then we kept working. We all kept working on this. And we took it to the NIGC, the agency that's responsible.
Because the Department of Interior said they wouldn't be able to enforce it.
Because the Interior Department doesn't have the authority to enforce the law.
And
they have the authority to review the compacts.
Very similar to the last letter, which she is a very low-level staffer in the Department.
That is not, Mr. President.
But none of the politicians. No, I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Mr. President, I have to correct you.
But
she is not a low-level staffer.
But Newland would not sign it. That is what they were asking for originally, was for Newland to sign something. He made it very clear he was not going to sign anything because he wants to help moving forward. But he did not, because he was not he wasn't, appointed by them. He didn't want to ruffle any feathers. He wanted to make sure he got his appointment first. But he did also say that NIGC, to which we're going, I just want to make sure that everybody's getting the whole education on this. The Department of Interior pretty much told us that day, we can't really help you. We can get Paula Hart, a staffer, to write a letter to which we're asking, but other than that, Newland, Holland, we wanted these high-level politicians to give us that letter. It wasn't them that signed it. They did send us somewhere else at NIGC and similar to what you're alluding.
Mr. President, Paula Hart is the Director of Office of Indian Gaming. She's the highest-ranking official whose job it is to review compacts. She doesn't make decisions without the consent and approval of her superiors, who at the time was Brian Newland, in acting capacity.
But Kanji Kotson did want Newland to sign that letter.
Mr. President, I'm just reciting the fact. She's not a staffer.
I'm reciting the fact
She's
that
responsible for the
request
agency.
was, yes.
That letter would not have gone out if the Interior Department, through Brian Newland, did not want it to go out.
He trusted her, yes, but he would not put his name behind it.
He was in an acting capacity.
Correct.
The person whose job it was to send such a letter sent the letter. That's just a fact. But the work continued, and we presented that to Judge Scretny, which back to March last year, when it was being reported and you were being advised, there are no other options. There's nothing to do. Next thing you know, we're making a motion in federal court with that letter attached to it that said, Your Honor, there's something happening. The Interior Department has said that this compact was never reviewed. It might be illegal. They said it right in the letter. So that was something. That was a strategy difference.
It was.
There was progress.
And that's to Odie's point. We went different routes. We did try different things.
And can I finish, Mr. President?
Absolutely.
And we kept going. And we took it to the NIGC, the agency that's responsible for the enforcement of the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act.
Correct.
And we presented a couple of different arguments. Number one, Interior has just said they never reviewed the compact. How on earth could it be lawful to release money when compact hasn't even been reviewed in terms of the extension period. That was one argument. And then the other argument that was revealed in terms of the data was the gross inequities of how much money the state's been getting in relation to the nation. And because of even in the COVID year, the state pulled more money out than we did from our own gaming facility. And does that violate the proprietary interest test? And then, we had a meeting on July 29th with...
So before we go to 29, the parts that don't match there, the NIGC reviewing the amended compact, when the arbitrators made the decision, they wrote in the document that they're not amending the compact. They're just interpreting what is the last 7 years and the continuance of the payment beyond. So there was no amendment. So that was the interpretation of the Department of Interior. And then the sole proprietary interest, which were not the benefit, we spoke of again last night. When we do the math, it's about $4 billion that the nation receives and about $2 billion that the New York State received. Once you get into, it was just cash to cash, it didn't match up, and that's what we took the argument, you're right. But when it comes to total assets and the actual proprietary interest, it is well over $4 billion that the nation receives in buildings and services and the facilities on top of the distributions. It's 4.2 to 2, so it's 66 to 33. Thus, that argument is less strong.
Mr. President?
Yes.
If I could finish.
Absolutely. I just want to make sure everybody's getting the whole story.
Well, I'll get back to what you just said, which would be an argument that the state would make against us. We don't need that from our president. We had a Zoom meeting with Sequoia Simmelmeyer, where you, again, succeeded in moving our ball forward in terms of getting this on the table, in terms of a top issue for NIGC. For what it's worth, on August 2nd, you fired me. You terminated me, saying you didn't need my services, so we did. But, probably one of the best days of my professional career, to be honest, and I don't know how you felt about it, was the series of letters that were sent on September 15th and 16th from Brian Newland, now confirmed by the Senate Assistant Secretary of Indian Affairs, calling out the same issue again, that this payment is questionable because it was never reviewed by Interior, and this letter went to the chairman of the National Gaming Commission, essentially saying, do your job, enforce the law. And then the next day, the chairman of the staffer for the National Gaming Commission did send a letter, essentially confirming that the two theories that we presented, that the fact that there was no valid compact extension in place because Interior never reviewed it, and the proprietary interest test, leads them to open up a review of the legality of the compact. And there it sits. Now, I have no idea what went on. I would have assumed that there would have been active prosecution and assistance of that investigation. We would have given them more documents. The state would have been given a chance to do the same, I presume. A lot of this is unequivocal. It's true. We all know what the facts are of the money. But there's obviously a debate about whether it's a violation of federal law. And it's still hanging there. Now, it's just not true that there were no other options. There's no way you magically get 2 letters a day after one another from the head of the Indian Affairs Department and the head of the chairman of the Indian Gaming Commission unless there's coordination and knowledge about what the hell's going on. And they're trying to help us. They're trying to help us. And when I asked you whether you talked to them, you said you did last night, 2 days after you signed the agreement.
Me personally, yes.
Yes.
Rob,
But that's where we have...
And so, Mr. President,
wait, Rob, before you continue, I agree with some of your points, but I think we need to hear from Allison Vinny, because Allison was the one that penned most of those letters from Paula Hart and the Department of Interior and helped with that process. And she was there the whole time.
I'm sure she was.
But I'm saying, let's hear from her. Let people hear the full story here. Let Rob finish first.
I'm sure she was at it. And I think the reality is it's irrelevant as we speak. It's irrelevant as we speak because the letters speak for themselves. The letters speak for themselves. And that's where I come back to. Where are we? Where are we going? What's going to happen? There's a big point here. And for some of us who've been around you know, and unfortunately I needed to be an elder, you know, but we have that $900 in a year. The fact is, there's a lot of tribes, there's a lot of Indians, and I'll never forget this when I was teaching at Haskell years ago. It was right after we got to Kansas, and after our people rejected the idea that the state would tax our coppers, and we had the conflict on the roads. And one of my students came and he says, "Oh, you're the Senecas, you're from America, you're the guys who blocked the roads." And he said, "We got tamed a long time ago, we would never do that." And it haunted me, like I'd never heard that. I grew up here with everybody, you know, who would much more rather go block the roads than bow down and live, if that's living. And so, I come back to you know, many years of being a lawyer, learning my lessons here in this nation. You always get your lawyer's advice. I respect that. I'm a lawyer, you know I am. And yet at the same time, if you limit yourself to what the white man's law says about our sovereignty and our rights, we're always going to lose. And I've learned it time and time again. There are times when you just say the hell with it. That's not what we believe. We don't know what the future is. And I can't logically share that with you. You have to live it. And you have to have been in some hard fights. And we had a lot of them. And honestly, I've had a lot of respect since he's been gone for Barry Snyder than I did at the time. And I regret that a little bit because he knew when it was time to put down the lawyers and put it down and just fight for it and take a chance. And a lot of our leaders did. I applaud President Gates for the same. Because when you stand into the future, you don't see a path. You either quit, or you just tell your people, ask for their consent, let all of us take the risk together, and we go forward. Right. And I think you're hearing tonight, we will all be there for you. If you rip up that agreement and convene a meeting where we can have a discussion about the next plan, about what we're going to do with it. You don't need to sit there all alone by yourself with this. That's what we're here for. We'll back you up. And I have jokingly say, if you need a toothbrush because you're worried about Judge Scranton throwing you in jail for not giving them the money, we'll be there to help you. Tribal leaders in our history have done that. And that's the kind of fight we need from you. And I think in closing, at this point, the Constitution doesn't say 24 hours, Mr. President. It's right in there. When the needs of the nation require it, you can call a special counsel at any time. And so I'm asking you, call a special counsel. Actually, I should probably say this first. Because the council never authorized it, you can rip it up right now. But in the spirit of working together, if you call the special, if you unanimously rip that thing up, and we convene tomorrow as a nation to develop strategy, it'll blow up their minds about what's happening. And I think that's what we should do. That's what will get us out of this. It will get us out of this together as a people.
Coming from the same guy who brought the white man's taxation to the Seneca Nation. Without a referendum.
Respect for your office, but not you. There's no point in us talking. We've never agreed on anything ever. We're going to go on your journey and whatever it takes.
Consider yourself in court. Let your notice.
So I think Preston wanted and asked Allison for her opinion on some of the update. I know some of you don't want to hear, but with the request of counsel, he asked her to speak. So, Ms. Vinnie, can you touch Presley's question, please?
Question that Councilor Red was to just give an update on kind of what happened.
Just a note from Martin Seneca, he said, don't trust the Michelle Mitchell or Ellison Benny.
Just to answer Councilor Red question, it was basically just leaving out where Mr. Porter was totally right where the NIGC was. They were in the process of beginning in September, conducting a review of the renewal provisions to see whether they, violated IGRA. We were in regular communication with them. His assumption's right. There was exchange of information. The compliance division at NIGC was doing a review, and then the Office of General Counsel was doing a review. It's the first time they've done this type of review, so it was taking them a while. We were pressing them. The assumption from the litigation team was that Judge Scrutiny would not issue a decision or order until that review was done. But when December came around, Judge Scrutiny didn't wait for the review to be done and he issued a decision. We gave that decision immediately to the National Indian Gaming Commission and basically said, the litigation team says they have to either file an appeal or a motion for reconsideration by January 11th. This is now urgent for the Seneca Nation. We need you to complete your review by then so that the nation leaders can make a decision. There was a COVID outbreak at National Indian Gaming Commission amongst the staff. They lost some staff and we were weekly communications with them and they weren't getting the review done. And then we asked the litigation, the lead litigator, what do you need from National Indian Gaming Commission? Is it something like what's called a letter of concern, or do you need more than that? And the lead litigator said that in order to file a motion for reconsideration with the judge, we would need some new evidence, and more than a letter of concern. It would have to be what's called a notice of violation. And National Indian Gaming Commission basically just that they weren't going to finish their review by January 11th. When the president last met with the chairman of the National Indian Gaming Commission, the question was raised, how long is it going to take you to finish the review? Are we talking weeks or months? And the response was, it won't be weeks.
Okay, can I say something? So why are we trying to follow the law of the state when the state never does? We need to turn this into a political fight because politics wins every time. We need to marshal the power of the Indian nations to help us win this fight. What we need to remember is that our ancestors back in 1938, when they were trying to relocate us to Kansas, we didn't fall over, we didn't fold. They stuck it out, and then that's when they came up with the Treaty of 1842, and that's why we have Cattaraugus and Allegheny. Now in 1838, that's when we lost Buffalo Creek. But what I want to ask everybody up here, our counselors, our president, is do you want to see yourselves, this council, the president, the party, be remembered as giving up and rolling over? And if you want to say, well, what about our casinos? Well, for us, the question to each member, at what cost? Our dignity? And that we would be subservient to the state for however long that this goes on. That's all I wanted to say. But again, Martin did say, don't listen to Michelle Mitchell or Ellison Ben. Thank you.
Stand up, wait. My name is Jocelyn Jones, and I am here to speak on this issue. I'm from Hinewoods, I'm Wolf Clan, and I'm a mother of 4 children. To me, this isn't a matter of money. Money will always come and go, and we've lived without money. Our ancestors know that very well. This is a matter of sovereignty, of integrity, and very, very skillful decision-making that's going to affect thousands and millions of our ancestors, and also all of our predecessors after this. Now that we are a nation of laws, written laws, and procedures. This legislative body that sits before us, you're bound to those laws, you're bound to the Constitution. What troubles me the most is that we are acting illegally as the president is authorizing this without legal quorum. Good leadership reassures their people that they will always have their back and they will always be okay. And a lot of fear-mongering has been said over the last 2 nights. And it was happening a lot over there in Ohio, and it's happening a lot today. We need to empower ourselves and remember where we come from in order to know that where we are going. I implore this entire legislative body, including the president, we have to follow our own Constitution. There has to be a legal record of this decision, and that includes all of our counselors voting on this. We aren't helpless, we aren't without a voice. I see the opposition to this decision, and the illegal method that it was made in signing that document. That sets a legal precedence for a lot more of this to happen if we don't check it right now. I implore the entire council to call a special session and make this process legal. If you're going to make this decision, it has to be in the records. It has to be in the records for our children and our grandchildren to see what has gotten us to this point in time when they have to review these issues, because you are the ones that are leaving them with this type of future. Every time we take these type of deals with the state, we chip away with our sovereignty over and over and over again. We are a nation. We shouldn't ever be putting ourselves under state jurisdiction. That was our first mistake. We as the people have the right to go down to Peacemaker's Court and file for an emergency hearing to request an injunction made on your decision, President Pagels. We can request a temporary restraining order and let our peacemaker, their courts, decide. If you really want it to go that far and have your people take their own nation to court, that is what we have to do. And we have enough people here to have enough signatures on a class action suit. And I wanted to leave it, without leaving tonight, I needed to say that, so that our people know that we aren't helpless. You do not run the show without us. And you have to make this legal, and you have to put it on record.
You know, you guys wanted to encourage us to be educated from the bottom up, from the top down. And when you guys make decisions like this, it shows just how much lack of education there is and respect for your people that put you in these positions, your elected positions. I'm really disappointed in the fact that our women voted yes to paying the state. We look up to you. We are the next generation. You are setting that example for us. And it's disheartening to see that. We know that our men can be weak. That is why we are the ones that need to guide them and support them. That doesn't mean roll over, though. It is sickening to hear, well, our advisor said this, we were backed into a corner. You know, I need a 24-hour notice. I'm sorry, right? You said you're sorry, correct?
Me? Yes.
Yeah.
No, I
You
started
apologized.
the meeting.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
It's funny because words don't mean anything without action. So the fact that you're still willing to keep your stance on signing that agreement instead of rescinding it, to me it says you were not being genuine with that apology.
I'm sorry for the timing.
Yeah, you're sorry for the timing, but at the same time, you're gonna let me finish.
Yeah.
You're going to let me finish.
Absolutely.
Thank you. It is, you know, it is so disheartening because it's like, I want to support you. I voted for most of you. I have watched you, Bobby Jones, sit on our side operating out of fear. I am not in the business of operating out of fear. And I would hate to see our leaders operating out of fear. That is a dangerous game to play. Raj John, thank you for being the only opposition. At least somebody showed that they were correct. And listen to us for once. Hear us. You're saying that, we had counsel the other Saturday. You guys didn't bring this up, but you've known about this since December 14th. I have a real problem with that. You could have said, hey, you guys, this is coming down the pipeline. This needs to be discussed. This needs to be addressed. We need to have, I don't care if it's not in the compact or that's not what was stated, have a referendum so that you can say, you know what, I brought it to the people, the majority said yes, or the majority said no, whatever it may be. And at the end of the day, you're saying that a judge can, essentially say, this money is going to the state. Well, that's kind of the same thing that you assigned, right? Aside from the 40 million. Oh man, you know what? That's such a great savings versus the hundreds of millions that we're giving. Like, my God, please find the freaking balls that you guys were born with. And our women, please support them and encourage them.
Question again about the validity of the approval to sign the agreement with Hopeful, not from counselors, because you were not convened in tribal council, but it was from legislative specialists, who, when you emailed them, that's their job, they're Monday through Friday, and you did not get approval from council. You got approval from legislative specialists, which really doesn't mean anything. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Are they council Monday through Friday?
They're counselors every day.
Not formally, they're not. Not until it's a matter of record of their actions.
Then get rid of that paycheck then.
And so the other concern is if you can do that, get agreement with the state, you give them $540 million through an email. What else are you guys going to give him permission to do through email without being in council where the people are? I think you're setting a scary, dangerous precedent by having an email count, because it opens the door. Now we don't know what else you're going to do through emails.
President Bagels, Tribal Council. I'm Seneca, Tribal Clan, mother of 4 daughters. I stand before you today with a petition from the statement of the mothers of the Seneca Nation. We have at least 100 signatures, and we are collecting more because our job isn't done. We ask, and we state, that the recent decision by the nation president, Matthew Bagels, to unilaterally authorize the payment of over $500 million in disputed funds to the state for the federal investigation has breached Seneca Nation protocol and was not brought before the mothers of the nation. As a matter of record, the Seneca Nation Council has consistently authorized and passed a council resolution to approve any and all payments and agreements made pertaining to the gaming compact. Council did not formally authorize the president to enter into this significant settlement with the state. We are strongly opposed to the president's unilateral action and the council's failure to pass a resolution authorizing the agreement, given the dangerous precedent it sets and given the magnitude of the settlement. We demand the nation's council first bring the matter before the mothers of the nation for review and approval and disclose the full settlement proposal made to the state. We further require council to establish firm protocols officially requiring a council resolution in any and all actions pertaining to the gaming compact, including payments
as this release of funds is an appropriation requiring the approval of 10 counselors. I know you don't agree with that, but we do. We oppose the actions of President Pagels and declare the settlement null and void as it violates nation precedent, tradition, and practice. The following mothers of the nation and women further declare the settlement invalid for breach of the public trust, breach of nation protocol, and breach of approval by the mothers of the nation pursuant to the Seneca Nation Constitution. We urge the nation to continue to pursue and exhaust all federal remedies before submitting the disputed payments. I stand here with a number of signatures, at least 100, and we are collecting more. We will be filing this with the clerk's office for the official record, because we know that having it for the official record is very important.
I agree 100%.
Thank you.
No. I still have the body, the majority that gave me consent to do it. I still stand behind. I disagree. They won their election. I understand. It's okay. Me.
Mr. President, a quick yes or no question, because you keep stalling and probably giving it very apparent that you're not going to call a special session or regular. Would you agree tonight, yes or no, to release the email chain that probably explains and give a little more transparency to the issue to the Senate people, yes or no?
You know, honestly, I don't know if I was in that email.
Yeah.
That was
So you're giving information to the final result.
The result came from the originator of the email, yes.
And who was that?
I don't know if it was legal.
Would it be the general counsel then?
It may have been just the council email.
Could you authorize the general counsel to release that to the Senate people out of the era of transparency? Yes or no?
I probably have to get that.
No, would you tonight? Would you do that? Can you make that commitment this evening with support of the majority of the council?
And with majority of the council, absolutely.
By hand vote, does the council agree to release those?
I think we should just continue your conversation.
You're the president of the Senate You're the president of the Seneca Nation, leader of this nation, sovereign nation of 8,000 people. You report to us. So yes or no, will those be released out of the era of transparency?
What are you looking at her for? You got your own guy.
I'm not going to say the same thing over and over again. I asked you a simple question, yes or no.
Yeah, you're asking council.
You're the president. You're the president.
You asked the majority of council.
Rory is right. Who was the originator of it then? Who was the originator? That's a very simple question.
Mohawk.
Very simple. There's got to be a change. It didn't come from you. Then how was it a vote? It didn't come from you. It doesn't make sense, man. If you were not the originator of the vote, then there wasn't a vote.
There you go. Michelle, who originated the emails? Was it you or was it council?
Can't hear you. Use your mic.
In this room, why do you guys not know? Why do you refer to the non-native? You guys answer the question.
It's a pretty simple lawsuit. It's a pretty simple lawsuit.
It's a very simple question. Yeah, it's a simple question.
So now you're going to make us
I don't know who you're
and waste more money on this.
Somebody knows the answer, yeah. I'm just trying to find out who it is.
Oh my God.
President Eagles, my name is Karen Swami, and I recall.
Hold on 1 second. Wendy's been up like 3 times, and I want to give her a chance. Sorry, Wendy.
So, I've been trying to understand, how you could come to this decision. And because I know you get a lot of information and you get options. But I would like to comment that generally speaking, our council sessions drift away from any really good information. And several meetings are. You come in, there's a motion, and in order to find out more, you really have to ask questions and drag the information. So we do need more transparency, and that's how people learn how the nation functions. I also think that, the compact initially, we have a big foundation. To agree to arbitration, it was criticized initially because it's federal law. And I believe the reason that was given for going to arbitration and including it in the compact was so that we wouldn't have to be going through court and spending so much money defending in court. Well, look at that, we ended up having to do that anyways. One of the things that concerns me that comes up in a lot of these documents is the fact that the nation didn't raise the appropriate issues at the appropriate time before the arbitrators. And that was a huge mistake, and it was probably whoever were our legal counsel at the time has put us in this position. And, I mean, really, in reading things, I think that that's the big issue, and then that we have to have had to spend all this time and resources from a weak position. And, I also think that we are very weak, because we haven't had an apparent strategy. We don't get information in council. We get some, and it's never on the agenda. And there's always a real concern that, someone's gonna go run to the state and, they're gonna disclose all of this information. We lost. You're right, we just keep losing. I don't know, why you point at the public thinking that, we can't have this information. But, you also disinform. And that's a lot of why, people are so upset. Because, we want a strong nation. And even, in the press, we're not bringing up big issues. We're not bringing up any of the issues that, how heavy-handed Europe has always been. And, we always have a list of issues with New York that, and they hardly ever get, addressed. And I'm not sure why the new compact negotiations, I don't see where it's mutually exclusive. That we couldn't have filed an appeal and see that through to find more time to allow, the new compact and the rulings from NIGC and Department of Interior. And, they are supposed to be there for us. And now they have an opportunity to do that. And I too was a little concerned that, we've not reciprocated. It's almost like we're just like, it does seem like we've given. I think that possibly you're thinking, okay, we need to comply with the court order. That's why, this is not going through council. That it's essentially complying with the court order. But I also think that, it needs to be in a council session. You might not think so, it might seem easier. The session would have been just like this. You're gonna do what it is that you think you're gonna do, but do you do it before us? I don't know if any of you will change your vote. but if you look at it in terms of that you have to comply with this court order because the judge, there will be a judgment order, at the very least, send it in like under protest and say, this violates federal law. But we're sending it, and list, all of the reasons why, here you are, and raise the profile up, because, we didn't have a very good compact to begin with. It was high interest rate, which, ultimately was able to get down. There was the arbitration, and then there was like the highest revenue sharing percentage. And people say, oh, we needed it. And so here we are. And that's part of the reason why we're here. And I think it would be a valuable thing for you to take a look at the past 20 years, because there were a lot of mistakes. And, and what do we want? And, even can we exist without paying? Because what I'm hearing is that, people are willing to risk it. Because, like Jocelyn said, maybe money isn't everything. Can we go back to it? Are we willing to say, all right, I'm okay without finding. Yeah, diversification. We hear it all the time, the past 10, 15 years, but does it ever happen?
Heard it for 30 years.
The other thing I wanted to mention too was that, the Settlement Act. We had a committee that negotiated the Settlement Act. They weren't proposals. They were individual Senecas who had unique qualifications, and they did an awesome job. We had really good legal counsel, we had Seneca lawyers, we had, historians. That was a very big team. It doesn't have to be counsel that puts themselves on all of these committees. You're legislators. You're not legislators. And the president can't take any, he executes. He does have to listen to you. But I think a lot of times you guys can't figure out, what your jobs are. And it's also a good time to take a look at, okay, what are we accomplishing? Because all of our laws are in terrible shape. And that's what you guys need to focus on. Get people who can strategize, who can do the work, because it's not all on you. You have to delegate these things to people who are qualified and interested and committed. I hope you listen, because, it really is kind of, hey, it's time for change, and take notice of it. And you do have a big responsibility, I realize that, and I know it's not easy to sit up there, that, it's a lot of work. But you do get paid $40. You know what I mean? You're there, you have the privilege of that. We've not had that. That's one of the benefits of the casino, that we have money that can do that. But I don't think that you define your responsibilities and your roles adequately enough to make sure that this government works. And I think, it's just the basic thing. I really think, Mr. President, that it would be a good idea to call a session. Do what you're gonna do, have your vote, and I would like, though, Shelley asked to hear from everyone, and I think that's a really good request. I think we should hear from everyone.
Yes, I respect what everyone has to say here. First, I want to thank all the administration and councilors for being here and to hear our concerns. And I would just like to reiterate that, as Arlene so eloquently put, that, she got voted in and, wait till the next election. But, the issues that are here are now, and they are urgent. And I was here during the election, and I spoke with you all, and what really was resonant was the transparency
transparency that was going to be going forward, the inclusion of our people. And again, that we're, that we're on the way. You're no better than we are. We're no better than you are. We're all cut from the same cloth. And I really admire every Seneca mother that's here, because every voice and every heart is for the children going forward, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and we have the wisdom of our mothers and our outsoles before us. But the urgency of things now, your apology is just, it's empty. We were included in this before. I had to hear on the Buffalo Evening News. I agree with Wendy that we really need to hear. I was at the meeting in Ohio yesterday, and there was a question asked to Ross, and I would just ask him to please reiterate what you said yesterday, why you dissented. Please, Ross, honor us again with that, because a number of people weren't there at the time.
I'm not, it's a tough situation. And so I know it's tough for the council and administration, but I agree that we haven't, this hasn't been a transparent issue. And I've said it, and I said it last night, is that I've let my complaints known for many years that they're being managed by attorneys. But we are allowing them to do it because I don't think we know any better. I think that we're so absorbed into the bureaucracy in a way that that administration runs that we forgot that we're at one. Who's going to speak for that voice? It's not about administration. It's not about health plans. It's not about any of those other kinds of things. It's about, there's where we start talking about next generations and, who we're bearing today and how we're going to move forward. What kind of legacy that we're going to leave. And it is true. I don't know. I can't be very effective on this council because we have no fight. I've been was privileged to work with a lot of people in this audience before during the 92. But it wasn't the council that beat Mario Cuomo. It was the people. It was when the people decided to tell the Seneca elected officials, step aside. Because your laws, your legal agreements, your negotiations with them isn't going to get us anything. It won't be them for you. And that's what happened. People went to the streets. I had the privilege to be just a small part of the negotiation. And had the understanding of how he was sweating those last days before they were begging us to open those roads because the holiday was coming. And I don't think anybody in this audience really understands the pressure that was put on it. From the simple act of rebellion, not law, civil disobedience, activism. It wasn't done with attorneys. They were begging us. People forget, or they don't even understand that on a Sunday morning, he got a state Supreme Court judge to rewrite his decision on a freaking Sunday morning. 12 hours before that, they said, it's never going to happen. You crazy, you're never going to get us to wake up a Supreme Court judge in the middle of the night on a Sunday morning to rewrite his decision or rescind it. simple reply back to him was, you asked him what the people wanted? This is a negotiation. This is what they said they wanted. You want them off those streets? I don't give a damn if you do it or not. It's not my voice. My job was to carry the voice of the people that day. That day, that Sunday, they jumped in a helicopter and they flew out that decision. They emailed it. And we were able to get it to our people and say, okay, are you guys okay? Because they didn't trust them. They didn't trust them. And we told them right out, they don't trust you. And they were like, yeah, but we're state elected officials. We're lawyers. We're degreed people and all this other kind of stuff. We take ethics. We do this, we do that. Don't give a damn. We don't trust you because you represent the boot that's on our neck. And then in 97, it was different. I wasn't on the council, but we ran a campaign. We didn't run a legal campaign against Pataki. We ran a political campaign. We went to take him off. We analyzed what his weakness was, the same way we did with Mario Cuomo. And we said, they both want to be the president of the Seneca nation, or of the United States. And our job was to make them, well, they were never going to be able to step up to that. They called our bluff, and we took them off. And they've never forgotten it. The simple fact that these roads, these rail tracks and all these things that are going through our territories is part of our leverage. But during 97 also is that we also went and we pulled the league together. We didn't pull elected officials together from all the nations. We didn't even go and pull all the spiritual centers together. We went to the people that wanted to dig in. It took us months and months and months of propaganda to develop a program to go into universities, churches all over the state, and halfway across this country with a dialogue team. To educate them not on the fact of we're breaking their down, but on their ethics of what they've been doing to us for years and years and years and years. And we were justified in finally speaking up against it. That was it. Those were battles, and that's why I say today, we've never started the fight. We've never strategized on this. We have another woman that probably wants to be the next elected governor of New York State. She's weak. And we're pissing our pants. She's weak. And I'm sick and tired of us putting out news blurbs and standing in front of everybody and apologizing for who the fuck we are. Oh, we're going to be the nice Indians from now on. Oh, we're sorry. You know, it's like, no, you dirty sons of a gun. You might think you got us right now, but we're going to dig in. We're coming back at you. It was the women. The women that helped prop us up. There was a lot of, it was everybody. What we forgot is we forgot that the power is in the people. And so what I basically say the same thing is that I've always seen our councils as weak. You know, and people may disagree with me. I didn't agree with the 2002 agreement because I thought it was crap. I thought it was weak. I thought that we just bought into Mickey Brown and you know, his cronies and took their deal. And we were sold on the fact that people said, well, you can't borrow money from a bank. That was 15, 14 years before what a peak was. We could have borrowed prime loan money at that time. I was against the compromise that we had in the last settlement agreement. I wasn't for it. Why? Because we gave up for money. We didn't rectify any of the things that they were doing to us. Not one damn thing. And we couldn't get the council and administration at a time to even understand that that was an issue that we as a people were concerned about. And I'm hearing the same thing. That's why my advice, and it's been common, is telling the people that I sit up here is like, people are going to start throwing your ass against the wall. Yeah. And this isn't the only thing that's coming. Why? Because we want to sit up here and pretend that, you know, that we can just do this shit.
Making horrible decisions up there.
And we should be able to. I get it. I get that people are nervous to stand in front and get into these scrums with the people, but it's kind of what we have to do, right? We got to thrash it out before we start digging in and really starting to work things out. Say it like this. So, that's why I'm against it. And it's the process. It's the process of on an issue like this, but it's also a process that we never started even to fight. And I've been trying to say, what are we paying we're paying a lot of money to public relations people who want just the right fluff pieces for us. And it's like, what the hell good is that going to do us? When Mario Cuomo, when Andrew Cuomo, they were saying all kinds of racist shit about us. And we wouldn't fire back. We wouldn't write a campaign. He wouldn't do anything. Except apologize. Why? Why? We got to negotiate with these guys. We didn't negotiate with Pataki. We took him to his knees. We didn't negotiate with Mario Cuomo. We took him to his knees. We took them to their knees. And we set the terms. And when they told us, hey, now we want to negotiate, we said, oh shit. Now we have terms. And they, listen people, they had to violate their own law in order to accommodate us. You realize how big a goddamn deal that was? Oh, in the end, the troopers were on our side because they didn't want to be out there. They were fighting at each other in the commissary at the state universities. Why? Because we advised them to. We told them when they said, we don't want to be in this fight against you guys. We told them, there was a group of us sat them down and stared them in the face and said, you have the biggest damn union in the state. Use it. Why are you allowing this governor to tell you what the hell to do? The next day, they went back and said, we're not your tax collectors. The next day, the Army Reserves were here. In '97, they were coming in and stationed in Allegheny. strategized. There was no council. It was people that got together. We strategized. It was the art of war without firing a bullet. We agreed we might have put away our weapons of war, but we didn't put these away. We outthought them. And that commander on the end, he told Mario Cuomo, they said, can you go down there and you're afraid of a ragtag group of Seneca warriors? That colonel said, I'm not afraid of them. He says, but they got a 50 cal. They said, they got armor piercing. Well, he was worried about, he said, all they need is to put a bullet and stop one of our vehicles coming down 86 and I'll be on world news. And I'm not going to allow that to happen, and you're not going to use me for it. We're out of here. People, there was no 50 cal on premises. We just scared some 50 cal bullets to make them think we had a 50 cal. We're not talking 100 years ago that these strategies were put forward. Most of the people in this room were alive when this was going on. But we don't have a stomach for it up here. Why? Because we're surrounded by bureaucracy, and it's by the rule of law and all the rest of this kind of stuff, and we got to play nice. And I don't. I'm sick of it. You know,
Sick of it too, Ross.
I'm almost at the point. I'm at the point of like, I don't even want to be involved in it. I mean, it's like, I'm over. You know, it's like, I tried. I thought I could do it, but I can't. I'm better off in the private sector.
Is there any way I can speak now?
Yes, please.
Okay. I haven't been to a council in a while, admittedly. I haven't genuinely cared because I know you guys don't care. You will do whatever you want, whenever you want, because you can. I used to have so much respect for Tina, Lisa, Arlene, and Angie. Angie, you're fair play. Why is your mouth shut? We don't sit and watch shit happen. I know you know better than that. I used to really look up to you ladies. When I sat in public health, I wanted to be like you guys. I saw that you guys were leading things, that you guys were doing things, that you were saying things that we know here to be true. But now I look at you, and I've lost respect. I'm 28 years old. You guys can all sit here and talk about everything that you've experienced in your life, but so can I. I might be 28 years young, but I'll be damned if I watch my nation fall. I want you guys to know what Matt did was illegal, and you already know that. We read it through the Constitution tonight. Many people have said it, and I want to look to the people at this point. Let's start holding them accountable. If we can file a lawsuit on peacemakers, then why are we sitting still? How am I 28 years old and asking our people to rise? Where is our balls? We can stand here and yell at them as much as we fucking want to. But are they gonna listen to us? Have they ever listened to us? I'm 28 and I've already seen through it. Can you imagine what our kids are watching right now? our leadership fold, turn over on their bellies for a back rub from the state. We used to fight against the state. Russ just proved not only so many points that I could have made, but he gave us evidence. As a people, we have a voice. We can say these things to them. They're not going to listen. So what do we do next? Where's the problem solving here? We can yell at them all we want. I swear all the time, yeah. Very unprofessional. I really don't care. I'm passionate. I love my people, and I want to see my niece and nephew grow up to see a leadership who knows how to stand on their feet. And I'm looking at you, Matt, because you were the one who threatened my family when I ran for tribal council, and don't make that face because I'm not stupid. Yeah, no, your backhanded apology is not accepted. When you change your behavior, we will accept your apology. I have nothing to say to you. You can just stop and turn your mic away because it doesn't matter what you're going to say. I really don't care. I actually found a job that I love, and it's outside the nation. Somewhere where I can actually help people and not get pushed down every time I do it. I can actually help a community of people without someone going behind my back, without people stabbing me in the back, without my own nation blackballing me and telling me what I can and cannot say. I'm allowed to speak. Every single time something happens in this nation, I am allowed to speak. I'm also allowed to know about it. Why we don't know about these emails and why you refuse to release them, I don't give a shit what they have to say. They lost how many times? They're so fucking great. We keep losing? Yeah, y'all are that great. Go home. Go home. Go. You guys have no business in Seneca Nation Community Centers. You have no business being here. Because as a community, we have already told you what our stance is. We have already stood before you many times prior to this, asking you the same questions, and not a one of you can stand up and look us in the face and tell us exactly, because you all have your hands tied behind your back, waiting. And then when someone does not agree with you, when someone opposes you, you take that little bit of blackmail that you might have on somebody and you throw it in their faces. You blackballed my whole family. Their incomes are gone. What are you going to do to support us? You're supposed to be our leaders. And you guys take shit that personally? You take it that quick, ready to just write off the next person? How dare you?
Probably take another $200 on your annuity check.
How dare you? How dare any of you look me in the face and tell me that my generation is not going to be the one to clean this up? We're the ones with stuff on our shoulders, not just you. Every decision you make trickles down to the next generation and the generation after that. You all know this. Most of you have families. A lot of them are very privileged, might I add. While the rest of us sit and rot and wait for your response to things that we should have had say in. Absolutely disgusting, and the fact that I have to call it out, that I have to say anything and stand at this mic and be as disappointed and angry at you that I am, you really need to reevaluate the entire model that you are showing the rest of the nation. Because to be quite frank, you're all freaking cowards.
Hold on 1 second. What is your name?
That's my daughter, man. I've interviewed with you, and I hope you...
I just wonder her name because I want to find out why she got let go. Because I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
You guys know. I know exactly what's my daughter.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm sorry. Okay, you made it sound like I fired you. So, okay, that's okay. You're good. Go ahead, Gary.
The fact that I'm still stuck on the vote. The vote. I mean, I'm sorry. This is dumbfounding. If you didn't originate it, and there's no trail to it. Us as people, we're going on hearsay of how we voted. Now, if you delete those emails, there's really no trail of it. That's really high. That's not transparency.
Oh, I can get the email. I'll go into the IT server and pull it out. Don't worry.
But
You don't delete anything online.
it never completely disappears.
Why did you
I
never
can give an answer, yeah.
But you didn't originate, you didn't have the vote, you didn't call the vote, your general counsel did.
I think it was follow up to a public meeting, so she was starting out a public
But no,
meeting.
you said you didn't originate the vote.
I may have directed her to get consensus. I did not originate the email.
So you, it was not, then it was, I mean, this is a whole nother discovery thing, but the fact is, it's pretty simple. It's a technicality on a law case. I'm not a lawyer, right? But I'm obviously seeing something that would defeat this thing in court.
Sure.
It's pretty simple.
It's opinion.
It's up to you.
I can disagree, right?
Got the judge, forget it. Got the judge, but it was sloppy. And there's been court cases where a lot of happen. You don't know about that happen. So if they'll say that we're gonna sign this and get the money tomorrow, how are you gonna get it back if we file a court case tomorrow? Are you gonna get called? Are we gonna have to ask what kind of judgment what people want? How are you gonna get that back?
Take their annuity check.
The second point to this is that we talk about, oh, we're losing $11,000 a day, right? But the casino has been making these payments every year, the same amount. And we have taken a $200 a month cut in our annuities. And if my math is right, that's about $20 million a year that the nation has received because we took out less than $200. The nation is paying the state before we get our money back. That's what that's really, that's not right.
You're mixing sort of things. Yeah. The land revenue account is a standalone, and that's the head lease which you're speaking. And we spent that when we closed the casino. But when we closed the casino, there was no operation. So we spent our reserves. So we spent our reserves there.
You're saying that we're gonna lose $11,000 a day right now. We're losing more in revenue. In general revenue costs. Yes, because it's not one of their pockets generally.
The general fund within the nation would have to fund this $11,000. So we have to find.
Where is our $200 then?
That's back in surplus. The council decided.
It's in surplus. They're get back money.
They reestablished the revenue that was there. The surplus that was there.
Because
Was
the
like
revenue has never stopped. You cannot
yes,
stop
it
that.
did.
You cannot stop the head lease payment. You cannot cut a head lease.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
You can.
We deferred. Yes, we did.
Is the head lease payment, are the head lease payments current? Are the head lease payments current?
I think they're about 13 million short still. I think they're about 40 million in surplus.
Is that true? Lori, is that true? Are the head lease payments current or not current? She says they're current.
What? But you receive the payments.
They're within, it's immaterial compared to where we were.
Well, and there's 20-some $100 in our pocket.
I don't need the $200, but a lot of other people in here do.
I completely agree.
So back to my two main points. The fact is that it's hearsay until you have a real vote on this.
And I think you guys are ahead taking the headway coming down and asking for each of their opinions.
Resolution for a real vote.
But if you get their opinions individually, you get their opinion. If I just call all in favor state aye, and they just...
You should have did that in the first place then.
Trust me, I asked them. I said it would make my life a lot easier. Because you guys are directing me to make the payment and the resolution. If they don't show up, I don't have a quorum.
We're the lifers.
Hey, go ahead, yeah.
So, no matter what I say, you guys don't like what we did.
Yeah, you're sorry, I won't vote. I'm not gonna vote for any. I did not vote for any except for me. Is that like so?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter what we say. That's how I feel.
Sell out.
This is my first term.
Well, whoever won.
Sell out.
So what's your excuse?
My excuse, my reasoning, where I really feel that deep down, I have 2 enrolled children. They're young.
Yeah, if I could make your mess up, we're gonna have to all pick it up.
I made this decision based on their future.
That's fair.
We all grew up in different ways and different needs, yes. But we're never guaranteed anything. We're never guaranteed tomorrow. And in my opinion, the fight isn't over. We have an opportunity right now in front of us to go to the governor. Well, she's weak. Yes, Ross is right. She is very weak. And if we can negotiate with a weak governor, that gives us every opportunity to correct every wrong that is in that compact.
You're not answering why you do it. Why?
That's why.
What is the reason?
I want to negotiate a new compact. We've had a shitty compact for 20 years. We didn't have any leverage. The money was never ours. It was in the SGC blocked account. In order to go to the Second Circuit, Scrutiny made us put it in an account where we can't touch it by ourselves. There's no way we can pull it out.
I'm glad you brought that up. I have to acknowledge a position by Eric White. If you take a ride down Irving and you look at a billboard, it has Judge Scrutiny on there. And what it says, we make up, when it comes to Indian law, we just make it up. Okay. Yeah, I don't know who the hell it is, but it's a white attorney, a judge. So, to me, I don't care what their name is, they're still white, and they're still a judge, and they're against us. We need to act. We need to act. And this is a call out to the Seneca people. We spent hours listening to you, man. And I think that's really funny. Last night, you were called doorman 4 times. And you even acknowledged them when they called you that. And I thought, my God, that's Mr. President, acting like that.
I have to, or I'm not sure I understand.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know, it's horrible.
The point is, you have already reiterated 3 or 4 times this evening that you will not rescind your signature. The people of this nation need to rise and oust you. And every one of you, if you're not willing to listen to the Seneca
That means
people,
tomorrow morning.
develop another strategy to stop you from paying New York State. If they take it, they take it. But we'll have a battle yet. Right now, you guys have all bellied up. You guys are afraid of your own shadows. You think because those attorneys say there's no alternative, there's no legal reason that you could fight it, you've lost 4 times, you've lost 5 times, you can lose 100 times. We have, as a people, as a nation, historically, doesn't matter what we fight in the court of law. When we had the Civil War, Dennis Bowen did not enter the courtroom for legal reasons, because, bottom line, he did not acknowledge New York State law. It wasn't signing anything over to New York State, and it wasn't even acknowledging them. We need people with backbones. We need people with leadership skills that will redirect the position of the nation, because you're not willing to. But you know what? I am. I don't organization and the future generations of people yet unborn that are coming. We need to stop you, because nobody here has conceded, including you, Matt. No counselors have conceded what you did was the wrong thing, except for Tina. Tina said she made an effort to negotiate with the rest of your counselors, her counselors,
Sue,
to do something.
I also asked for a public discussion on this issue. But
after the fact! It's
it was after the fact, Sue. You're right. And I said yes in that email over. All right? I'm not going to release any votes right now.
It wasn't a vote. It wasn't a vote. It wasn't an event.
But
It wasn't a convenience.
So Sue, you have to be patient. You have to let these guys talk to you as well. And this is not showboxing, I know. But you didn't even get down this side of the road. You have to get there. No, it was asked a while ago, and then it was reiterated that it was a good idea. Okay. And then one more time it was said again. Let's let them talk. So I'm asking you to let these guys just give you their opinion on what that vote was.
I know
because
what
it
it
is a
is.
consensus.
I know what the end of the result is. And I haven't heard not from one of you that you're changing your mind, or that you'll act in the people's best interest.
Maybe you should
not
ask that
one,
question.
including you, Matt.
Because the consensus of the legislation has told me to act. And I'm
No,
not accepting my
they're
position.
They cannot do that. They will not convene.
The real president has the right to veto.
So at the end of the day, I know I'm not convening. Josh, can you finish so that we can finish the, we'll start down here with this, Josh, let him wrap up, and then we'll go through this, process.
For me, if we want to continue gaming, we want to continue the way of life that we've had. It's been a little bit different from previously, yes. I was younger, the movies were a lot smaller. But it doesn't really matter. If we do not have a compact, we will end up going to...
Why did you get me that?
Class 2 gaming will not perform like Class 3. We will not have the benefits that we have today. That is something that I was trying to fight for. And obviously you guys don't give a shit about it. It's not going to work. There's going to be a lot of cuts. SGC has a big debt.
See, that this arguing isn't letting them voice their opinion. You can have your own, I get it. We all should. I accept that and I respect that. They're not even talking, they're just here. So, Josh,
To finish my point though. We did.
Speak means keeping your mouth closed.
So, to finish my point, Class 2 gaming is not going to provide the benefits that we have today. SGC has an outstanding debt over $100 million, and that's not going to be paid down by the end of this compact. What means is the assets are going to have to be liquidated. We're not going to have those beautiful buildings to turn into Class 2 facilities. Yeah, we might have one or two, but it's not going to be at the same level. It's just not. There's a lot of benefits on the line here. It really is. And that's why I made my decision to keep those benefits where they are.
Thanks, Josh. Tina, to your point, you did call and consider it a public forum, and I thank you for that. What made your decision?
The fact that the state, when I said it earlier, we agreed to arbitration. The money's over here, they're gonna come and take it anyway. They come and take it, Josh is right, and shut everything down. Possibly a notice of violation, possibly a NOV. Possibly, can you just let me finish?
Wendy. Ollie, sorry.
So if the casino gets shut down, then we don't have any more. I didn't think we would. I didn't think we would go any forward. We were promised that we thought we would win.
Well, the hell did we ever win this white
No, not give up. I read off earlier the resolution that we did in 2013. And I believe that we should have done a resolution to authorize it. But we didn't. In hindsight, we didn't. I said that to Ben and my colleagues earlier. We handled this totally wrong for our people. We didn't go to our people. We said it was a pandemic. We couldn't leave. Pandemic was worse than it ever was when all this was going on. Then the holidays happened. And it's just excuses.
No excuse.
So Lisa, please.
So, I've been here, and when I first came in, I knew arbitration was going to be a complex problem, and it certainly has turned out that way. So, reading a lot of the material that was given to me in the records and decisions that were issued, and trying to understand what was going on. A lot of you sitting out there that are quiet really don't have a full understanding of this, and I don't either, not the fine details. You know, a lot of these people up here have been in this for years and years, you know, Sue's spelling out things that, you know, I'm in that learning process too. Still, it's no excuse. And why I came to my opinion, my decision, was based on the stuff that I read in the records of decision. Judge Scretany, from the arbitration panel, and it felt like a losing battle right from the start from the arbitration panel. So we fought again. We went to the U.S. District Court this time. We made that appeal. And that was in November 2019. We lost there. Coming in, I came in when the Second Circuit filed an appeal in February 2021. And we lost that again. So each time we lost at those levels, there's always a certain degree that we're not going to win again. Because we're submitting it to courts that are, number one, it's an uphill battle. Number two, they're not native friendly. It just was, it felt like a losing battle from the start. But we didn't give up. We kept fighting and fighting and fighting. So I reached a point where, do we keep fighting and expending legal fees and keep digging ourselves in this rabbit hole? Do we keep doing this? At what point is that balance where we're now shifted? And I felt like it had shifted to where we were losing. We're not winning. That money that was sitting in there, I didn't understand it either. Until it was made clear to me that it was not our money to begin with. That's the illusion. Is that money that was sitting in that bank was not ours. It was disputed funds. It's disputed money. So with losing that, and again, we said it here time and time again, that the courts, New York State, can go and grab that money. And yeah, they don't care. They make $220 billion a year. We're just a speck. So in terms of leverage, and what it came down to for me was the end message was looking for a new compact. We needed that new compact. We don't have diversification to the point where we're making that kind of money and profit. We haven't done that in previous years. We've said it. We know this. We keep saying it. Let's hope we don't keep saying it and turn it around and do something about it with this new compact. So when it comes down to the end of this compact, you know, I have a family. There are friends out there. I don't want our annuities to go away. Some of you don't need it. When you don't need it. Others do. Others depend on it. My kids depend on it. We never said be dependent on it. We can preach to our peers, but it's not going to go anywhere. People need that money.
especially during the pandemic. We've lost so much money in our coffers, from 600 million to 40 million coming in on that loss. We're still trying to recover. We're still licking our wounds financially. We're still trying to put us in a position that we don't have to shut down again from that casino, which is our biggest revenue generator. We've got to have a backup plan. This is why we're trying to move things there. So for me, it was about the end message, which was having that compact in place. That settlement agreement does that for us, but the leverage was actually the money in getting to that compact. Because New York State was not entertaining it. When Cuomo was in there, he didn't give a shit. He just assumed let us be on our way and let the entire thing fold. Let me continue, please, before I lose my thought. So, and what Ross was talking about in terms of leverage, the fight is not over. We have to still negotiate a new compact. All the things with HOPO, yes, she's weak. There are points that everyone's made in the last 2 days that even I wasn't aware of, but man, we could sure use that to go into negotiate a new compact with her and go guns heavy. We still have that money. What we did today here with the public meetings was to bring everybody on the same page, or at least try to. We're not going to do it with everybody.
Sue. I know, but she's trying to present you information.
Don't change my mind. I'll get back to that, Sue. So for me, it was about timing as well with New York State. So the other trigger was not only did we need a new compact, but it was timing. When the information came to us that New York State only has 2 meetings in their New York State legislature to even entertain a new compact. So now we're under a timeline. And if we delay anything past that, we go beyond December 2023. That's another unknown and a variable that we can't control. We don't know what they're going to do. We may not get another compact in time. They may come back and shut us down. We don't know that. We don't know that. And again, it's not, in terms of fear, I fear for a lot of people out there that do depend on their duty, the elders that have their checks in, disabled.
Thanks, Denise.
Hey, we have to consider the worst case scenario, and that's the thing you keep overstepping. There is a worst case scenario, and that is it. That is it. That is it. Yes, I have to listen to everybody.
It's just Lisa's opinion. Let's get to Arlene.
You don't have to agree with it.
That's right, you do not have to agree with it. But Arlene?
Yeah, I think, if you have touched on it, and I mentioned it last night, that money is in a blocked account. It is tied by legal obligations that we agreed to in the compact. And like we have said, it's disputed money. So it's sitting up there. We went in against the state. We did arbitration. We're both looking at that money and want that money. We lost. So then the next step was, well, let's look at court. Most times with arbitration, you don't go to court. You're not let into court. So we did. We took care of securing versus having a bond, securing that money with like another paragraph of how we wouldn't touch it. Nobody. It goes with the state. That's probably the only thing we agreed on, is the fact that that money has to be in an account that's called a blocked account. Now you're asking us, how would we vote? What would we vote? Matt decides to convene within the next day or two. I will vote to send that money. And you're saying, well, why would you send it? Okay, the real word is you release it. It gets released by paperwork. It goes to the person that won the arbitration. Now, we've heard about our past with 92 and 97, and I hope we never forget that. That was on taxation and land, and I think everybody up here stands on that. But we went into business. A little difficult at the time in 2002 to say, really, we're going to do all this, we're going to sign this, we're going to do that. But there was a vote to say, look at it, get it done, and we did that. People have enjoyed the positives of it, whether it's the money, whether it's the fact we have beautiful buildings for our people to utilize, and I think we were talking about various things. without some of this revenue that comes from this business, we're not going to be able to hold up and stand on the climate change issues that people are talking about. And you say, well, you know, we can all go back to the way it was. Well, isn't it fair if that's the decision that we give everybody an opportunity to look at that and decide? And what I'm saying, and you'll probably get some booze or whatever, is there's an election next November. We get it. Some of us up here may not be here. There may be new people. Well, then do that. If that's where the election needs to go, to say we don't want casinos, we don't want to do things in the compact, then let the voice be heard from those people to do that. And I appreciate the fact that you're here, and I appreciate the fact that you're willing to listen to us. A lot of us have never agreed. Some of us have agreed on few things. But you know, I will stand that if he calls a special and says, should we release that money, I will be a yes vote.
Thanks, Charlie. Angie?
I want to thank you all for being here tonight. Your voices do matter. You know, I get to hear why we shouldn't let the money go. But I have to tell you, I am a yes vote. The money needs to go. I'm looking at least she's 28 years old. My daughter's in the crowd tonight. You know, I look at your grandchildren, your children. What do we leave for them? That was the point. You know, we can say, yeah, let's New York State just reach in and grab that money. Then what? We have nothing to fall on. We have no chance at the table to negotiate. Yes, we can say, no, you can call it what you want, but that is the truth. I'm going to tell you why. Because of that account, we had to sign it over. No. Hey, if you want New York State to reach in and just grab that money, and then we sit here and go, okay, now what do we do with Hochul? How do we get her to the table? This was our opportunity because she is a weak governor. And you know, when we went and tried to talk to Cuomo's basically said, not till you pay up will I discuss this compact with you. Told that over and over and over as we kept going through these court cases. We tried and we tried. You know, when it came to even signing this one, you know, Hochul didn't want to talk about a new compact until this money was paid. And you know, we kept looking at everything that we could do, our strategies. Yeah, you know, Ross can disagree with the strategies and everything like that. You know, we were given an option to continue to fight, but our chances of winning was very slim. This other option was to try to reach a settlement and try to get a new compact by 2023. That, you know, according to what we were told through Aiken's memo here, was that it would take at least 18 months to 2 years to get a new compact in place approved by Department of Interior. So that's something that, you know, and here we got Hochul, who's looking to be a governor. She's hoping to win her first primary. She's trying to get wins. And you know what? This is where we use our leverage now, is saying, you know what? We know you have a conflict with Delaware North. We know that, you know, you're looking to get voted in. Those are the things that we gotta play to her weak side that can hopefully be our strength. And you know, those are things that I believe in. And you know, and as long as we get a new compact by 2023, that's gonna secure our future. If you choose not to support this, I understand. And that is your opinion. As for, you know, some of these things that, will it be any worse situation if we continued fighting? Well, it won't get any better. You know that. So, and this is going to be a fight because we're going to have to fight for what is right. We have very many things in that compact that is horrible. And you know, that's the reason we're at this right now. This is what we're at right now, is at 25%. Everybody hates it. We need to fix it. And you all either we all work together or you work against us. And my job is to work for you. I understand that. That is my job. My job is to take in your opinions and try to help shape and form my decisions. And this one, I chose it because I looked at my grandchildren, your grandchildren, and those others. So that is my reasoning.
Thanks, Andy. Presley?
You know, for me, it goes back to January 19th, 2017, following that Paul Hart letter, the technical assistance letter that the nation received, saying that our fulfillment of the payments were done to New York State. But you know, at the same time, we talk about politics in here. Politics played in the federal level, where that letter was taken away from us. And that was our smoking gun back then when we were getting ready to go into this arbitration process. We have this letter secured in our hands that we're going to use to fight with. And when that letter got pulled back, you could see it in everybody's sales. So the question was, what do we do? And it was always, when I came in 2016, it was, we're getting this letter, we're going to do this. But the big thing was that it was to get us to the table, is what I was told when I first came in. It was never to win. It was to get us to the table. DOJ's prerogative at that time was to get us to the table. And so we followed that up to where we are today. And I've always struggled with, what is the end? That was always the question that council was kicking around, is what is the end? What is our end game? We're losing. We lost in the 5 courts. The binding arbitration we lost in U.S. District Court, Second Circuit, and the U.S. District Court, the 60D motion we lost. So the question was, is where do we go from here? We could either, one, ask the Second Circuit to look at it a third time. If you guys have read Judge Scretny's letter, he was very clear in his letter. Like, I don't agree with you guys. When we talk about these letters that we got from DOI and these letters that we got from Department of Interior, he didn't care. So at that point, it was either we take $50 million and cut a deal, or in a few weeks they're going to take the money anyways. Money that we didn't control. So that's where I'm at.
Keith? Oh, I'm sorry, Ellie, I didn't even see you over there. I apologize. Hold on, Sue. We're going to get through this part. I understand, and you can hold your question.
Excuse me, Sue, can I have a turn, please? There's a question period. There was supposed to be a question period at the end of the agenda, but obviously we're going to follow that. So
Hold on, Sue. You've had plenty of time. Let these guys talk. Yesterday was, we don't hear from them. I'm trying to give you them. Let's let it go. You can get back to Presley. He's not going nowhere, I promise. We're not going nowhere. Elliot, please, let's continue this process.
thank you. Thank you for letting me talk. Thanks for being here. The reason why I had voted yes on paying the money, I came into this with this already going on, and there's a whole history of what's been going on since they decided to keep this money back, which we've been paying all along because of the renewal, right? Usually agreements like this, when they have an automatic renewal, there's a window of opportunity to disagree with the agreement. And that would have been the strongest, in my opinion, to have done it that way. However, we chose not to. And so escrow accounts. What I understand about escrow accounts is you put money into an account under escrow because it's not determined of whose money it is. So it's safely put away until you can figure out between the two parties whose money that is. The other thing is with arbitration. Arbitration is not a good place to go because there's a term that we used to call, what they do is they split the baby, because so you don't always, the whole idea of being able to count on arbitration is that once they agree to that you're supposed to abide by what the decision is in arbitration. So obviously we lost there, and so we decided we were going to go through the courts to try to get that overturned, and we haven't been successful. And limits that we always talk about. We've always wanted to increase them. We got them up to $700. And then with everything going on, you know, you gotta have more money, the more people, the more money you need. And to the point of some of the committee members in regards to money, that we're always fighting over money, is a fact. So this could have definitely had an impact on him. However, to the point of what I've been listening to in the audience, we don't know there either what the outcome will be there. At least if we would have kept this money until they tweaked it, we wouldn't have had a seat at the table. They could have just ignored us, and the time clock was ticking to negotiate the compact. When Como was there, he was ignoring everything. He didn't want to deal, he didn't want to talk. And then thank God he got what he got. And now Kathy Hochul comes in, and there just wasn't going to be able to get to the table. So part of it is that when we finally agreed that we did get very little out of it, but we did get a seat at the table, and now we can begin to fight for what the wrongs were in the first compact. That's still on the table. And the other thing is, so when we talk about the people, and we talk about speaking for the people, I look at that, and I have told my colleagues that I believe in the minority opinion. Because a lot of times when we hold council, we hold different meetings, it's the minority that show up, the larger group, correct? If you can be able to see that we hear, I believe in the minority opinion, give them a chance to speak, and if there's something there from the minority opinion to get me to change my mind, I would. But the other thing is that the people, if we're, yes you are, I know, that's why I said that. So, the people are willing, the minority people are willing to risk annuity benefits that we get, other benefits. And not saying that it's gonna happen, but we don't know that it would or it wouldn't. I mean, we can say yes, we can say no, but I don't have a crystal ball. I am willing to continue with negotiating to make it right. And that was the reason why I said yes. And I have to think of all people, all the Seneca people, and I believe in my heart that that's what I did. And you don't have to agree with me, I understand my answer, you can have differences of opinion, but there's a majority of all of us that really have to have a say in the matter. But well, we probably should hold more referendums.
You think?
Please.
First of all, I'd like to apologize for how we went about this whole settlement agreement. It was a tough decision. We only had, like everyone was saying, there was a time frame, December to January, with that last ruling Scotty had. And it was very difficult, we went back and forth, day in and day out, and it was just, it was a tough decision, it's making decisions for, all Seneca people is tough, especially when you guys weren't aware of, what was really happening, and you guys had to hear it through the news or however you heard it. But, yeah, it's a tough job out there, that's all I can say. And from here on forward, regarding this new compact or amendments, whatever we decide, I would like to include the people on this. It's that's why they're all here tonight. They want to hear, the reasoning why, how this went about. It's a tough decision, man. I'm just glad a lot of people showed up tonight. I'd like my own opinion, I'd like to see this many people at our council session. We need more. We don't need more people there. We need more input. There's a lot of people that were in government before, and they could help us. Just like I believe Wendy Hubson did. We don't always have to sit on these committees. That's what some of our people are out there. They can do this for us. But the reason why I voted yes is, because I see a lot of people, probably more than half the people, enjoy these benefits that we get regarding the casinos. And it's been going on for 19 years, and on a rough number, it was 690 million. The people received benefits from the casino from day one, all the way up. So that's why I voted, that's why I voted yes.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
For me, it was simple. I'll keep it brief. It was about not the latest 3 decisions or 4 decisions. It was the original arbitration. An objection wasn't formally filed, and I think that's part of how you actually contest the compact. But the one thing that really got me, and Presley touched on, is after I got voted in 2018, we started discussing this. And I wanted to know what the argument was. How did it start? Well, one thing that caught me was when Deputy Counsel to Martin Seneca actually said, Michelle Mitchell said, this was never meant to win. I couldn't believe it. I went, what are we talking about? So that's why I dug in a little bit and said, well, what's wrong with it? And I found there's a few things wrong. An objection was never formally filed. He didn't submit a letter until after 3 months after the compact renewed. And if you read the arbitration decision, it talks about, it has a section there for common sense. We're not exercising common sense. You don't let a contract renew and then contest it. So with that, when you talk about, I understand everybody's frustrated. Like I said, I fought against the 25%. Went to court and everything. But when it comes to the people, I understand there's a few hundred people in here, but there's probably 8,000 more that I have to look out for because I was elected to do that. And if you weigh a couple hundred people in the meeting tonight versus 8,000, guess where I'm going? I have to protect the people. In this pandemic, in this situation we're in today with COVID, there's people who don't have a job. People who refuse to get the vaccination, like myself, that nobody will hire. Nobody will hire. It's called custom and tradition. We're going to check it out. Okay, thank you. Let me finish. That, for me, is what tops it off. I'm married to a Seneca woman, Seneca babies, Seneca grandbabies. I'm not about to take it away from them. Just because, let's say a generous number is 300-400 people here. I can't do it that way. Wait it. I waited. It doesn't add up. So I'm going to go for the 8,000 people and make sure their benefits are protected. This vote for yes does that. So I stand behind that. Thank you.
Mr. Becker, do you have anything else? I think you already did mention, but if you wanted to.
Yeah, so like I was saying to Sue, I asked for a convened session. It was after the fact, right on that. But I'll tell you why. Or at least I'll tell you why I voted yes. And there's 4 main reasons why I voted yes. What's that? Josh Becker. And, okay, there's 4 reasons why I voted yes. The $11,000 a day that we are paying in interest. The second was the timing. Josh touched on it. We got Western New York governor. I thought the time is now. She's weak. She's looking for votes. Let's get to the table with her. Not a Cuomo crony that's going to be in there and, not even hear us out. The third thing is we tried the 60B motion. I was, Sue, Rob, a number of people we tried a different strategy. I don't remember what month it was, maybe March. We tried a different strategy, and we got a lot of letters. NIGC, Department of Interior, I think because of that 6 feet motion. So, you know, I was willing to fight, and I'm glad Ross is here because I get pumped up when Ross speaks. He's a fighter, I'm a fighter. And I want to fight this. I do. But hang on, let me finish. But there's, like Bobby said, there's 8,500 members of the nation. There's a few hundred here. Hey, Shelley, let me finish. Sit down. Sit down. Come on, I'm trying to finish. Yeah, let me talk. Let me talk, Rory. Let's start.
All right. Either stop this or we're just going to end this all together. We asked for this. We asked for this. So
let me finish. Yeah, let me finish. All right, thank you. All right, so there's 8,500 people in the nation. That's the people that I was thinking of. Why I voted yes. But I want to see, I'm willing to vote no. But I want to see a show of hands from every single person in this room. Whether you guys want to fight, because there is a ton of risk that is involved with this. And we continue to fight. So I want to see every single person in this room raise their hand if we're going to fight this.
I think majority rules here.
There's only
5 things before. I've been there with Ross since a little kid.
Hold on, Elise, hold on, Marlene's been waiting.
I know, I've been waiting. Thank you. I got a couple items. Moving forward. Josh, are you finished?
You got your show of hands. I didn't know that was the end of. I didn't want to.
Like I said, I'm willing to vote no. But
So what you vote? You say the hand.
It wasn't everybody. Yeah, you saw what it was.
yeah, I saw what it was.
That's him to him and interpret majority.
Yeah. I'm willing to fight. But like I said,
One thing you gotta understand, Josh, is that maybe I'm just one person sitting here, but I got 10 people at home behind me. Okay? So what you're seeing here isn't all of us. And there are many of us that are against it that can't be here tonight. I have 2 sons, 4 grandsons. They want to be here, but they're fighting COVID. So just because you see 50 shows of hands doesn't mean it's just 50 people.
Thank you, Jeanette.
you guys, this is a tough decision all around. Tough decision. $500 million. $500 million.
Marlene, go ahead.
Okay, moving forward, without negotiation, what could the community lose without a new compact? I want a list of everything that we could lose. List it for the community. Tell us what we're gonna lose. Yes. The annuities. What else?
Some people will lose their jobs.
Jobs. Elders what?
Services.
Sarah, ask everybody in this room, do you enjoy our casinos now? You know, we started with Seneca, Niagara, with Seneca, Allegheny, and Buffalo, and many people go there, and the people there love their work. And we did a good job building beautiful casinos.
So will we lose departments and programs also, is that after that? Okay, so
we would lose all of that.
And who's that gonna hurt? New York State.
So, we're gonna lose programs without the new negotiation compact. Annuities, burial funds?
Yes.
Burial funds, money for elders. Peak programs?
Higher education.
No? Okay. So that was the list I wanted people to hear.
The counselors would lose their
We're gonna
pay.
lose programs. Families are gonna lose jobs. The kids are not gonna be taken care of. So the other item I wanted to mention is, we need to remember that after 20 years, we're smarter today. We're educated. We are knowledgeable. 20 years. We have experience and we have qualified people to negotiate a better compact. And we can do that with you people. Thank you.
Good guy.
Mr. President, I respectfully just wanted to share a couple of fact questions because I've heard it from the counselors and I'm very appreciative of your willingness to share your opinions on this. But the consistent theme seems to be based on a couple of flaws of information. And I hesitate to ask, but the casinos are not going to close. The casinos are not going to close. Even when compacts lapse, the Interior Department has authority to temporarily dictate procedures. It comes at the tail end of invariably a negotiation. And the second thing is, which is why it's frustrating to see a deal for what's already in the federal law, is the state has to negotiate once the nation gives notice of its intent to negotiate a new compact. That can be issued today, right now, tomorrow, last year. And so, the right to negotiate is in the law, the state has to do it. There's a problem, the Seminole case, we can't sue the state, the nation can't, but the federal government has power here. And I think a lot of the groundwork that's been set from a friendly administration is going to pay off for sure. But you can hold the money, keep fighting, and we should. If the money sweeps this very minute, we need to keep fighting for a declaration that any payment during the 7 years is still legal. I mean, maybe it's a clawback, maybe it's a credit against future payments. If this independent fight over the 7-year extension period, we need to hear from NIGC. If they conclude it's illegal, maybe we got to fight to get it back because they already swept it. Maybe we should keep holding it the next 2 years. That shouldn't stop. But the right to negotiate a new compact is already in the law. And we shouldn't have to pay for that. It's already there. And I just, with every ounce of everything I've ever learned or practiced in terms of my work, I just don't see the federal government shutting down our casino while we're negotiating a new one or while we're in dispute with the state. I see them stepping in, dictating procedures temporarily until we conclude the deal. That would be the worst case scenario. Now, admittedly, it's going to require leadership. We need you to inform us, to let us know where things are in the process. And ideally, some of us would be involved. We'd like to help. But regardless of that, the worst case scenario is there's some nervousness about exactly what's going to happen. That's 2 years from now. It's forever. Once we give, if the state were, my prediction, having been on the bad side of a promise from the state a couple of times, is they will do nothing. They're going to take our money, and they're going to do nothing. And we're going to have to sue them because they're failing to negotiate. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to, when they start talking, they're going to give us the same compact, and they're going to have an amendment to it, or they're going to have the same crappy terms, and they say, sign it. And maybe the strategy, the brilliant strategy is, and I think it could work, sign that deal, and then go to Interior and have them reject it, because it's so bad. But the point is, I'm hearing you making good decisions, potentially based on bad information. And that's where the fear of this 2 years from now is just unwarranted. It's already in the law, and so if we're going down the direction where you feel like this is important, I do think you should convene a special session and put it on the books. Own it, roll call. And maybe some of us will just go, because you're our officials, I have faith in that process. I don't agree with the decision, but you should still put it on the books.
There is a plan to put it in the books in the regular February. But this is.
Well, that's the first we've heard of that, Mr. President.
It's okay, because it's not going to change anything.
But it doesn't
mean. You got to hear their opinion, but that was the most important part.
But the fear that somehow today, not making the payment is going to result in the casino closing tomorrow is just not true.
Yeah,
it's just not true.
My opinion would slightly differ. I can agree to disagree. There's risk there, and I'm not willing to gamble on the casino.
And I think, I get what Rob is saying about they won't come in with guns, they won't come in and do this. But what they've done to maybe other nations is they will strangle your vendors. They will find other ways to strangle things so that you cannot function as a business. And then the other thing, and I'm not afraid of it, but the other thing we are aware of is there's developers waiting up in Niagara Falls area willing to give the state 30%, and they would probably take them versus trying to do anything with us because the Seminole case stands that they're not going to have to do a compact.
I think at least